helping students, keeping them engaged in learning and listening to their voices as we move forward with the senior conferences, student leadership planning, and new enrichment opportunities. We are also working to improve academic support and classroom engagement. Student feedback help guide our work and reminds us how important it is to create a school where students feel heard, supported, and connected to their goals. With opportunities like upcoming career fair, we remain focused on helping students not only graduate, but also prepare for their future. Thank you to our school board members and our community for taking the time to listen and support Yellow High School. That's it. It's hot.
And now for our CSEA report.
Our proposals. This is a fact. In general, we always strive to achieve the greatest possible salary increases and benefits for our CSEA members. We also want, wish, hope that our labor partners, WSTA, achieve the greatest possible increases for their members as well. And we never negotiate against our labor partners. Full stop. That's what we feel, and that's what we believe. We want the greatest possible for all. Although it is true that at the table we negotiate only for classified employees, we recognize that increased percentages, increases on either side, benefit us both. We celebrate that fact, and at least as long as I've been around, we've always been relatively equal in terms of a salary percentage increase, with 0.5% or so. We, CSEA, have contractual agreements in place to support and protect our own bargaining unit from not receiving fair and equitable increases. Article 18.18 of our CBA states, should the district and any employee group agree to an on-schedule, ongoing compensation and benefits increase that is larger than 1%, which would be 5.5 for last year, the district and the association shall meet and negotiate what, if any, additional compensation and benefits increase shall be granted to the association. It goes on, but you can read the CBA if you're interested. I am still hoping to learn the exact figures, but classified employee salaries consume approximately $21 million of our total district's annual budget. That is only 18% of the budget. This figure includes classified management positions and confidentials. All those who are not in our bargaining unit, but they still do benefit from our salary increases. We recently saw data on our revenues and expenditures that listed benefits in this district. Benefits for all employees, like medical and retirement, actually amount to approximately $30 million each year. Therefore, classified employee salaries combined, all of them with management, amount to less than what the district pays for benefits for all of its employees. In general, we have very few $100,000 a year salaries. I'm going to request an actual breakdown of where our average salaries lie, but I'm going to guess the majority classified earn around or less than $50,000 a year. More specifically, the majority of our classifications, our salary ranges, will never see $50 per hour on their salary schedule, ever. The main reason I chose to run for the president position of Riverview 168 chapter is because I see my members. I see them. I see what they do every single day to ensure our district runs, our operations continue, and our students are well cared for and safe. I care about fair growth for all of us, and I know that I cannot move mountains in a day, but our team is dedicated to raising wages and benefits and will be relentless in our pursuit to keep moving our members forward, including those who live check to check, month to month, dollar to dollar. Last week, we held our first negotiation session with the district for the next year, 26-27. We are pleased to announce a same-day tentative agreement on Article 12 promotions and are currently gearing up for the next sessions. There are things with the district that we will always differ on. There will be wages we wish to be higher and benefits that need to grow to counter exorbitant costs of living impacts. We are committed to incremental growth and believe in the power of collaboration. We hope, some of us actually pray, that our labor partners continue to grow as well. Lastly, and arguably most significantly, 16 paraprofessional 1 positions, not 2s or 3s or TK paras, para 1s, and 1 community school facilitator position have been cut, reduced, effective at the end of this school year. We understand that these positions were added and maintained for the last couple of years with one-time COVID dollars, specifically ESSER 3 grants, arts and music grant, and facilitators, the community school federal funding grant. We knew this was coming. I just want to add that we truly appreciate the approach that our HR department, specifically Assistant Superintendent Jay Borges, has taken in meeting with our affected employees before the March deadline. We value the human relationships we have and continue to value a compassionate and humanistic approach. If any one-time funded positions that have been reduced are being considered to be funded through other means, the general fund or creative avenue, I would like to put into the public record, I'm requesting my 17 positions be continued and restored as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And now our WSTA report. President Knapp.
Wow. Good evening. I'm feeling pretty human tonight. And it's ironic because how I started this was to discuss your humanity, and that sometimes that can be lost in all this. And I'm going to read this, but the first thing I want to say to you, all of you, is that I don't question your intent. I don't question that you are doing every time what you think is right. I know each and every one of you to be a person of character and a person of dignity, and I'm grateful for that. And I hope you recognize every time I come before you that I always recognize the successes in this district, and I celebrate those successes, and I celebrate people in this district. And I know you understand the challenging role that I face because you face the same role as elected people. It's not always celebrated, and it's not always easy, but it is what we signed up for. Recently, many of our members have faced financial hardship due to repeated delays in pay from WUSD. While WSTA and WUSD are working together to find solutions and have committed to meeting on this issue, I would like to begin by sharing a letter that was sent to me describing how these payroll errors have affected one of our members. And I think you've been emailed as well. I want to bring to the board's attention an ongoing issue that continues to impact educators in this district: repeated payroll errors and delayed payments for work that has already been completed. I recently was contractually scheduled to receive an induction mentor stipend on January 10th. That payment did not occur. A second date February 10th was then communicated, and again, the payment was not received as expected due to internal miscommunication. This is not an isolated incident. I want to be very clear. This is not about a single check or a single mistake. This is about a pattern that many educators in this district have experienced. I have personally heard numerous stories from teachers who have had to follow up repeatedly, wait weeks or even months to absorb real financial stress because payroll errors are treated as routine rather than urgent. Teachers who have had to explain to their families why money they were counting on did not arrive. Teachers who quietly carry that stress because they don't want to be labeled as difficult. When I and other educators agreed to take on extra duties, mentoring new teachers, coaching, leading professional learning, we do so in faith, often outside of contracted hours, with the expectation that the district will honor its commitments. When payments are delayed, the impact goes far beyond inconvenience. It affects household budgets, personal finances, trust in district systems, and morale. Timely payment is not a bonus or a courtesy. It is a basic obligation. An apology or acknowledgement of the hardship this causes is not sufficient. When the hardship continues to happen, the impact compounds over time. It sends a message, whether intended or not, that educators' time and labor are not being treated with the urgency and respect they deserve. Educators should not have to escalate concerns, chase emails, or involve union leadership to receive compensation they are already owed. I am asking the board and district leadership to take this issue seriously, to examine payroll systems and accountability, and ensure timely, accurate payment becomes the norm, not the exception. Respecting educators means honoring commitments the first time and every time. And I just want to shout out, there has been really great collaboration on this topic with HR and Shea Borges and also with Monique. Like, we're working on this. We've discussed it. We know that a late payment is never acceptable. The problem is it's been a pattern, and it's been over several years. And some of our members feel a little gaslit because they bring it up and it's almost indifference. And so these are real issues, and I promise you, these are people missing payments, people asking their parents for money to pay the electric bill. These are real stories, people who can't pay their kids' tuition. I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. These are real stories. So we need to make sure we do this. WSTA is not currently on most of these issues seeking a grievance. Currently, it's still on the table. We're looking to find a way for this not to happen anymore. And we're also looking to find a way that people's dignity is respected and they're not treated like they made a mistake when somebody else did, because that's an issue. But I do want to thank the folks that are working with me on this issue. Okay, now to my topic. And this is the paragraph I was talking about. I want to begin by thanking Washington Unified School District for the budget presentation at the recent study session. While there may be different perspectives on the analysis, it was meaningful for all of us to receive the same information at the same time. We are encouraged that the budget outlook is stronger than initially projected, and we appreciate the shared interest in securing Proposition 55 funding permanently. In times of heightened emotions, it's important to remember that we are in the same business. We are working toward making our schools better for every student. Washington Unified Teachers Association believes deeply that this is the intention of all parties. While we are preparing for the possibility of a strike, we continue to hold faith that we can reach a fair and responsible agreement. When we talk about compensation, we are not focused on a single district highlighted in recent news. And we have never been. We are not asking to match any one district. And in fact, if you look at what we've asked for, it's not even half. The reality is that we are behind nearly every district in the region, and many pay significantly more. As a result, we are losing talented educators to neighboring districts. And I know there's been a lot of misspeak on this, but if you go look at the data, you will find that it's 25% over a 3-year period. This is unacceptable, but we know the solution. We must be more competitive. We are also deeply committed to supporting our school social workers. We are concerned that 3 of these critical positions are being considered for elimination. We look forward to working collaboratively with WSD to find solutions to keep these mental health professionals serving West Sacramento. Now, I personally, because I've talked to leaders in this district, knew that there was a lot of funding in a lot of areas, both administrative, classified, and certificated, that was tied to block grant money and COVID money. I was personally deeply disturbed to find out that none of the folks that were hired were directly informed that they might be hired on money that was temporary. This is an easy solution. We tell people. I imagine some of these folks might have said, I need to make a different decision for my family if this job is not guaranteed. But we knew. We all knew. Why could we not tell them that? Was it a secret? It's unfair to drop this bomb on 3 mental health workers, but impact all of our mental health workers, our social workers in this district, when we had that knowledge. And I'm not sure, I know because I talk about our good intent in this district, I know this wasn't intentional. And I know we've had a lot of turnover. I know that this isn't this HR department, that we've had a lot of turnover in that area for a while. But the real hurt on families has occurred. And we need to be introspective, and we need to look back on this, and we need to make sure this doesn't happen. Now, there is block grant money that's available that can help these jobs for the next 2 years. Additionally, following the passage of Assembly Bill 322, schools will soon be able to bill private health insurance companies for pupil health services. This is likely to provide long-term funding if we are positioned to take advantage of it. Unfortunately, some of the very same social workers facing layoffs are the ones trained and certified to do this work of acquiring those funds. By eliminating these positions, we're limiting our own ability to access new revenue. We believe this is an area where innovation and partnership can lead to better outcomes for everybody. And again, it takes foresight. I mentioned this at the budget advisory. I'm not quite as inflamed tonight because I'm feeling a little bit of humility tonight. But the decisions we make one day affect the next day. When we choose to reach out and we choose to get a campus security officer in our district at a cost, and we can talk about the value of a campus security officer. We can debate that all day. But we all knew this was coming, that there was going to be cuts based on COVID funds. And we decided to secure over $300,000 to a campus security officer. And some of us knew that 3 cuts to our social workers was coming. Now, that budget alone would cover 2 of them. So what are we doing? These are mental health workers. These are the students that during COVID, every one of you stood up and said, this is the most important thing right now. This is what our kids need. I remember a speech where we were so excited about getting more social workers and said it's still not enough because you can never have too many social workers. But apparently, we can replace 3 with 1 cop. So I just want us listen, I'm not throwing darts here. I'm just saying, what are we doing? Do our words mean anything? Do we value what we say when we say mental health matters? WSTA proudly stands with our brothers and sisters in the California School Employees Association. We believe, and I have always believed, and during their negotiations expressed, that they deserve wages just as educators do, just as competitive. While there is no actual Me Too clause in the contract that people like to refer to, they do have the right to reopen negotiations if our agreements exceed certain thresholds. We believe this language supports fairness and solidarity. And let me just phrase this in Doug words here. If we assume that when CSEA is done negotiating, WSTA is going to get that, or we assume when WSTA is done negotiating, CSEA is going to get that, then we are undermining the collective bargaining process. We are saying that WSTA negotiates for CSEA or CSEA negotiates for WSTA. When CSEA settled at the end of last year, this assumption means WSTA should just stop negotiating for its members, even though there was no communication with CSEA and WSTA about that settlement. We didn't have input. We didn't get to talk about what our members specifically needed. I believe our classified staff should be compensated at the highest level. I've seen the work they do. I've seen the commitment. I know that our yard duties work desperately out on the playground. They do a lot of the real work with students, and yet they're compensated on an hourly basis, and then they go off schedule, and then they go on. I know the meaning of paras in the classroom and how much they mean to teachers. I would be happy if CSEA received whatever honorable contract that was offered to teachers. But I don't have the authority to negotiate for CSEA, and CSEA doesn't have the authority to negotiate for us. And to me, when we discuss Me Too and we discuss, well, if we pay you this, then we have to give it to CSEA. While I agree with that argument, that's also union busting. It's saying we don't have the right to negotiate. It's unhealthy, it's un-American, and it really works against both of us. So please, compensate CSEA fairly. We hope, we pray, to use the words of my counterpart, that you will be able to give them everything that we are able to negotiate for. But don't use them against us, and don't try and pit them against us. We negotiate for our members, and if we ever join together, I'd be happy to work side by side, but that's not where we are right now. Finally, I want to return to a central truth. WUSD does have the capacity to meet the needs of educators and students. This can be achieved by carefully reviewing and reducing allocations, to services and operating expenses. Tonight alone, more than $200,000 in outside contracts are on the agenda to be approved. These deserve close and thoughtful review. I've been here many times when I've heard this board discuss how we really need to be careful and think about out-of-state travel and contracts. But every single time, every single one after that's been said, we've approved. Colorado, Florida, Louisiana. We've approved every one after we talked about it. $200,000 tonight. I'm not saying you shouldn't approve it. I'm saying we should look at it. It can be done. We can reach our needs by limiting unnecessary reserves and projecting ending fund balances accurately and consistently, and by committing to spend today's dollars on today's students. These are responsible, transparent, and value-driven choices that reflect our shared mission. Once again, WSTA believes in you as elected leaders. And I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And I just want to say again, I'm going off script here. we know each other. I care about all of you. And I hate the idea that sometimes I feel like that I've hurt you. And I hate the idea that sometimes I go home feeling like you've hurt me. And it's the nature of these times, but I know we respect each other's role. We really hope you look carefully at the data and you will consider the long-term impact of your decisions. I truly believe WUSD has the opportunity to be innovative and proactive in keeping our best educators here in West Sacramento. And I'm sorry I was so long tonight. It's a hard night for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're on to our public comments. Before we begin, I'm going to read a disclaimer. The members of the public may address the board on the topics of our board agenda during every meeting. In addition, during regular meetings, the public may also address any topic within the jurisdiction of the board. Please know the board is listening to your comments, but by law cannot meaningfully respond in this forum to items not on the agenda. The board has allotted 20 minutes per agenda item for public comments, and members of the public will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. In the event there is a large number of speakers, the board will make adjustments to ensure more voices can be heard. Speaking time will be limited as follows: 3 minutes each for 1 to 8 speakers, 2 minutes each for 9 to 14 speakers, and 1.5 minutes each for 15 to 18 speakers. In addition, members of the public may submit public comments using the public comment form posted on the district website no later than 3 p.m. on the board meeting day, which will be read by the board and included in the public record. The board represents the rights of members of the public to speak regarding matters within its jurisdiction. However, please recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be a violation of the student's right to privacy, and thus the speaker may be legally liable. If you reference a student's name other than your own, you may be deemed out of order. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. Board policy allows the public to lodge complaints against district employees, providing more opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. Although the board is unable to limit criticism of the district, its programs, and people, the district will pursue legal restraining orders when employees suffer unlawful violence, a credible threat of violence, or harassment. Further, individuals may pursue claims of defamation based on untrue statements made during public comments. And we did receive public comments by the written comments, so those will be put into the minutes as well. How many do we have today?
We received 12.
All right, so 12. That means 2 minutes each. And who are our first names?
First, we'll have Patricia Mora and Sophia Ramirez following.
Okay.
They're here for emotional support. We take care of each other, social workers. 2 minutes. I'll
No
be as
worries.
fast as I can.
You got this.
All right.
1 second. Sorry. Go ahead. I would.
All right. Good evening, members of the board and WUSD cabinet members. My name is Patricia Mora, and I'm a school social worker at Westmore Oaks Elementary School and a parent of 2 students in the district and a River City High School graduate who's in college right now, as well as a community member of West Sac for over 15 years. I've been a social worker for approximately 20 years, and I love what I do. One of the core tenets of social work is advocacy, and I'm here to advocate for the students, families, and school community that we serve district-wide. We were informed last week that the district's intent to cut 3 school social worker positions. And cutting these positions would reduce our team to 5 school social workers and would drastically limit the level of support we can provide students and families that we serve on a daily basis. I'd like to paint a picture of the impact these cuts will have by sharing with you some of the things we do on a day-to-day basis. We provide crisis intervention, complete suicide risk screeners, connect students to therapy and other supports, meet with students individually for social and emotional support. We schedule outside community partners for presentations on healthy relationships and substance abuse prevention, suicide prevention, and more. We facilitate our own social, emotional, and skill building groups and bring in community partners to co-facilitate with us. We push into classrooms to support students. We deliver food boxes and other goods to families as needed. We refer students and families to community resources, identify students who have housing instability and connect them to our district's family and transition liaison for additional supports. I've sat with students and offered grief support because they lost a parent, a family member, a friend, beloved pets, including classroom pets. I've celebrated goals met with students who have shown improvement in behavior, attendance, and grades. We help students learn to resolve conflict through peer mediation, and I've prevented many fights from happening on campus because we encourage students to simply work things out by talking to one another. The walls in my office hold stories of trauma and triumph and resilience and hope from all the students and families who have walked through my office door to meet with me. I have more to say, but I'll save it for the next board meeting. I'm going to end my comment with this. Our students deserve to have fully staffed schools, and that includes a fully staffed social worker team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sophia Ramirez and following Luis Ramirez.
And if you want, you can lower the podium so that they, or the mic, that works too.
Wait, what?
Say your name.
Alright, go ahead. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Dear School Board, my name is Sofia Ramirez. I go to Elkhorn Village. Please let the social workers stay because we really need them at our schools. Miss Vanessa, my school social worker, helps me and my friends a lot because me and my friends have friendship problems sometimes. And she really helps us and teaches us how to become better friends. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Luis Ramirez. I am currently attending Elkhorn Village Elementary School. I'm in the 8th grade. First, I want to start by saying I know how it feels to need someone to talk to, like the school social workers, about my insecurities, problems, and more. I just feel sad for the next generation of middle schoolers because they will have less of an opportunity to talk to a school social worker if positions are eliminated. This could cause more problems, including depression, drug use, and suicide. I just want the school board to know that laying off school social workers will impact students and schools more than you think. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Ben Dixon and Vanessa Palomares.
Good evening. As you may not be aware, WSD social worker team was notified last week that 3 positions will be laid off under, quite frankly, quite confusing circumstances. We were constantly told that it was positions, not people, that were being cut, which was quite difficult to hear as there are still people connected to these positions. It is people that provide these services to our students, our families, and our communities. And while it's not official which of these 3 positions will be laid off, it is quite clear that I know that I will be one of those. I serve Bridgeway Island, the largest K-8 in this district, while also splitting my time at Yolo High. On an average week, I provide about 50 total services, including, but not limited to, individual check-ins, running skill building groups, following with parents, consults, case management, care coordination, restorative conversations, peer mediations, and so much more. So if the board votes to lay off my positions, it means that you're voting to cut a grand total of roughly 2,000 services that I provide every school year. in this position. What this means for the students and families in our district is that social workers will no longer have the capacity for any preventative work, as you will need to split 5 social workers across 10 school sites, which will only result in only crisis response. Moreover, our roles are revenue generating through the CYBHI initiative, so it is money that you are worried about. Cutting the few roles that could generate money back into our district does not seem like the strategic move. I love my job. I love the community that I work with. And I do believe that access to mental health in schools is essential. And I know that you do too, because I hear that from everyone in this room. Because everyone in this room knows that kids don't just need support one day out of the week. Losing social workers will have a cascading impact on the kids and families in the community that we serve. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa. I'm one of the 8 social workers. I'm placed at Elkhorn Village. I'm also on call for Washington Middle College, and I also split my time at YOLO. I felt it was important I share my thoughts with you in regards to this unfortunate situation. I feel like other positions were warned in the beginning of the school year, but our team wasn't informed until last Thursday. Our social workers, our job is really confidential and it often goes unseen. But when there's a crisis or support needed immediately, a social worker is always called first. There is progress happening every day in students' lives. Losing our team means a step backward at a time when student support is greatly necessary. Students rely on us for emotional support, validation, especially with current political stressors affecting their daily lives. Going from 8 to 5 school social workers will significantly reduce consistency and availability across sites. We all know that we're going to prioritize Tier 3, and unfortunately, Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports, although they are really essential, we're going to take away from the whole child. Being split across 3 sites once or twice a week based only on higher needs creates unbalanced support because all of the student needs matter. But right now, the situation feels really discouraging. Half of our team is facing displacement. It feels dismissive to not even receive acknowledgement. And I truly hope we can do what we can help to survive our team. We want to thrive in our district, and our students' emotional well-being depends on us. Thank you for listening, and I hope you advocate for us.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Juana Ruiz and Valeria Rodriguez.
Good evening. Sorry, why did I just get nervous looking up at you guys? I
We're
just
people.
missed some of my seconds here. No, good evening, school board members. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your service. This is a tough job that you guys are in, or it's not a job, it's a service, and it comes from the heart. So thank you for doing that. I am here tonight to voice my concern of possible layoffs of our school social workers. School social workers are essential as teachers. Teachers are responsible for the academic part of the student, prepare students academically. Social workers are responsible in helping students with the emotional, social, and mental health of the student. These two combined are essential for the whole being of the student to be successful in school and to learn how to be a productive citizen. Now, you may say not all social workers will be laid off, and we'll still have some in our district. However, splitting up our social workers into 2 or 3, I think I just heard someone say 4 schools. That is mind-blowing for me on how we're going to be able for that student to be in a system that they're going to be able to strive. These social workers will only be able to provide crisis counseling services to our students instead of providing intervention services. My question to the board and to the district is, Is this district aware of the School Linked Behavioral Health Services grant that is part of the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative? That it's a $4.7 billion statewide investment in children behavioral health. What has been done to seek and or implement this grant?
If you'd like, you want to finish what Mom started?
It's okay. This is new. You got this. Yes, I can hear you.
You got this.
Dear school district, I'm at the school board. My name is Valeria Rodriguez. I'm in the 4th grade at Elkhorn Elementary School. Here are some reasons why we need social school workers like Miss Vanessa. She has helped me solve problems in a friend group. I don't think we should let go of social workers that help students with these problems. She helps us learn how to avoid things that are mean. I hope that this speech helped you understand why we need social workers. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Delilah McKay and Maria Munoz.
Dear school board, my name's Delilah and I'm in the 4th grade. I think we need school counselors. First, Miss Vanessa. She helps with friendships. I'm one of her groups. She helps a lot of other people in this school. And my question is, why do you want to take away a job from someone who helps social and emotional life skills and develop friendships and solve problems? My group and I have learned to avoid problems and how to communicate with each other. These are some reasons why it's important to have a full-time social worker at every school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Maria Munoz and following Maria Juarez.
Hello, my name's Maria, and I'm not a social worker, but I am the Families in Transition and Foster Specialist District-wide. So I do have the privilege of working with all these people, these amazing social workers behind me on the daily. I'm also a social work graduate student, and I want to speak not only as a professional, but as someone who understands the depth of this work. Having social workers at our school sites is one of the strongest forms of support we provide to our students and families. It is essential in times of uncertainty and increased mental health needs. Yes, schools are for education, but schools have become much more than that. Our students spend the majority of their time on campus. For many of them, school is the only consistent and safe place in their life. I know because of the population that I work with. Access to mental health services, trauma-informed care, and emotional support is not optional. It's critical for their development. Social workers know their students and families. They build relationships and create stability. If you ask our students who their safe person on campus is, I will bet money on it that it's someone from our student services team. Cutting social workers does not reduce positions, it reduces access and safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board and WUSD cabinet members. Last week, our school social worker team was informed that we would be reducing our team by 3 positions. This news came as a complete surprise as we had no prior knowledge that these cuts were being considered. I have served as a school social worker for nearly 10 years, and I can attest that the mental health needs of our students have escalated for various reasons. For further reference, our students' Kelvin reports can be reviewed. I want to emphasize how much these cuts would affect our students. With these reductions, students would lose access to immediate crisis intervention, individual counseling, group counseling, classroom lessons. Additionally, we would be losing support. We would be losing support from Victor Services, which we relied on to address our high caseloads as their grant is set to expire. For those who may not fully understand the scope of our work, let me provide some context. When a student faces housing or food insecurity, we connect them with services. When a student experiences the loss of a family member or pet, we offer counseling and link them to appropriate services. When students struggle with anxiety, we provide them with coping strategies to help alleviate their distress. When students are failing, we discuss potential solutions with them to enhance their chances of success. In cases where a student loses a parent to ICE custody, we create a supportive environment to ensure they know they are loved, they are valued. Moreover, we actively participate in the positive aspect of school life by engaging in PBIS events to foster an inclusive and uplifting school culture. Just this afternoon, I joined the fun and danced with students at a school dance, showcasing our commitment to building connections. Our presence is vital, and without the 3 positions that may be cut, we will struggle to maintain that connection. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ellie Leon and Susan Reeves.
Good evening, board. My name is Ellie Leon. I am a parent and an active member of West Sacramento. I'm also an employee for the past 19 years as an outreach specialist. These ladies behind me are my team of student services. We're very proud of servicing our students. I'm here to speak about the proposed reduction of the 3 school social workers and the impact that it will have with our students. Caseloads at every school site are high, and the level of need is clearly reflecting the district data, including Kelvin surveys, where students are asking for more social emotional support and help managing stress and anxiety. Reducing social workers from 8 to 5 will significantly reduce access to mental health support that most students will only get from school. This is also coming as we're decreasing Victor Services support for counseling. Maslow before Bloom, our students' basic needs to be met in order for them to learn. That includes their mental health. Our continuation high school has to rotate 8 school social workers in order to cover our students' needs. This is not ideal, but they make it work. Cutting 3 is definitely not the direction we should be heading. If we want to talk about equity in our district, let's continue to work to keeping them. One of our LCAP goals is prioritizing students' engagement, school climate, and social emotional well-being. If we are truly committed for these goals and visions displayed across our campuses, then we must continue to invest in the professionals who uphold the standards every day. I urge you to consider not just the financial impact, but the human impact. Our students deserve the support and the help them feel safe, connected, and successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it okay if my daughter stands next to me?
Yeah.
Good evening, Superintendent Hildreth, Board President Kofi, and Board Trustees. My name is Susan Reyes. I am an Elkhorn Village parent and West Sacramento homeowner and voter. I am here to advocate to protect full-time counseling positions at each school site. Students need access to a counselor to work through their social challenges, anxieties, and concerns so they can develop the tools needed to develop their emotional regulation and conflict resolution skills, and thus have the ability to focus on their education. Counselors develop rapport with students and families and serve as a key stakeholder in the school community to prepare future leaders. They do the important preventative work that makes schools safer for students to obtain their education. Furthermore, counselors serve as thought partners with caretakers and link families to valuable information and resources. And I'm happy to talk to you about that offline. Unfortunately, parents are hearing that there may be cuts coming to counseling positions soon, and this is very concerning
And we hate to see the unintended consequences of that coming to our school communities. While the board may not be directly responsible for HR matters, it does have decision power in policies and funding priorities. We elect board trustees to make good faith effort to vet staff proposals and make sound decisions with the information available that is in the best interest of students. That is why I'm here today to emphasize the importance for the board to protect full-time counseling positions at each school site. Spreading counselors' time among school sites decreases the effectiveness of their time to do meaningful and preventative work with students and families. I ask that you question any recommendation to reduce counseling positions, and in fact, I ask that you do the opposite and ask how we can do more for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes.
Are you Nayana? Oh,
okay. These are next. Okay.
Dear School Board, my name is Nayana Barone. I'm a 4th grader at Elkhorn Village. I'm a Girl Scout. I support Counselor Miss Palomares because she helps me with some of my social problems. She's very helpful. I've been with her for 2 years now, and my heart would break to see her go. I hope this helps them stay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, thank you so very much. And now we're moving on to our information or discussion items. Information, presentation of the Washington Unified School District's Facilities Master Plan Phase 1, Monique Stovall.
Thank you and good evening. Is this working? Oh, no. Okay. This evening I'm joined by.
Somebody left their keys up front?
No, when they come back, they.
Oh. Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure whose they were, but I thought maybe they need them. Sorry about that.
Thank you. This evening I'm joined by our facilities director, Daniel Gondra, to talk about our new facilities master plan supplemental report. It's important to note that this plan is not a full plan. It's a statutorily required update to our facilities master plan, and Daniel will share with you the key aspects of it and the next steps towards a full facilities master plan.
Good evening. So to start, we partnered with Studio W Architects to conduct the updated facility master plan. So Studio W Architects have been doing work with Washington Unified for over 10 years. They were the architect of record for the Westmore Oaks modernization, Alcorn's current modernization, the ESSER 3 projects, and just various projects throughout the last 10 years. So this slide covers what the components were for the supplemental Proposition 2 update. And what it was is the square footage of each building, so the facility inventory. It also is the age of portable buildings and just 5-year enrollment projections and a deferred maintenance plan. Next slide, please. Then this slide just covers what was in this supplemental master plan, which is 7 elementary schools, 1 comprehensive high school, 3 alternative sites, and about 7,400 student enrollment. Next slide. This slide gives us an overview of the site utilization district-wide, and there's a formula we get, or they use to get the utilization of each site, and then it'll give a total district site utilization. And you'll see in this slide, it shows from present 2025 to 3031, a decline of 7% for elementary, but an increase, there's a 97% capacity in 2031 for the high school. And to support the growth, the way this is found is, again, there's a capacity, and why you'll see a decline in the elementary versus an increase in the high school is just the ebb and flow of students coming in and going out. Next slide, please. So this slide and the next slide, I'm going to kind of bunch together because they're connected. So this slide is the deferred maintenance, which is referenced in the presentation. And it was created during the 2019 Facility Master Plan, which identified items that were past due for maintenance at that time. And the way we determine how we do these projects are not only the due date or the age of them, but also safety, and then funding plays a factor. And then the funding we use for these is through the pandemic funding, so the ESSER 3 funding at the time. That's how we did the ESSER projects that covered over 8 campuses. And then the board's commitment to dollars for the Deferred Maintenance Fund, or Fund 14. We've been able to maintain our district's facilities. And since 2023, I can only go to 2023 to present day, we've completed 17 deferred maintenance projects across the district. And the facility department, again, we prioritize these by safety, age, and board priorities and planning. And then once we've identified a project, we work with sites and departments, multiple departments. So we work with the ELOP department, we work with the summer school committee to go to schedule the projects to be done. And I'll give you a quick little snapshot of how a project starts and ends. So a project involves multiple partners and several months to years of planning. For example, we'll just use the Bridgeway Island hardcourt replacement that is going to be scheduled to take place this summer. We talked about this project in December, and then we contracted with Warren Consulting. I think it's on tonight's actual board agenda. And so now we're in February, and then they're going to take the month of March to create the bidding documents, the specifications, because when we put a project out, once it hits a certain threshold dollar amount, $220,000 and above, we have to do a formal bid. So that requires advertising, site walks, bid proposals. So that's a lengthy process. It's about a 2-month process in itself. And then we have to schedule. So for this project, actually, we worked with the ELOP program to ensure that nobody was on site over the summer. So we worked with moving that program over to Southport for this upcoming summer. But this whole process is about 8 months. And that's not even a DSA project. If we have to submit to DSA, you can add another about 6 months into that. And another good example of how we work with just school sites, we're currently also looking into doing the tennis courts at the high school. But there's like 3 months that they play twice a year, or their programs twice a year. So you have to kind of manage between those time frames to try to get the project done. So that's kind of how we get to the projects and how we do them. So if you see, it's not a maintenance fix. It's not a coil going out on an HVAC unit that if it's in stock, they pick it up tomorrow and repair it the same day. These are long projects. So our goal in facilities currently is to try to assess and get about 4 to 5 projects a year of the deferred maintenance plan. Obviously, other projects come in, that we do throughout the year, but speaking on the deferred maintenance plan. Next slide, please. I kind of went over this slide and that. You can go next slide, please. So again, aligning with our goals, it's my job, again, as a facility director to ensure a safe teaching and learning environment for our staff and students. My goal in facilities is to make sure that facilities are not only safe, but our sites are a place of pride for our students and staff and our community members. Next slide, please. And then this slide outlines that, again, we work with various departments. So for the quality learning spaces, I work a lot with the technology department and to review what classroom upgrades and technologies needed. And then for safe environments, I actually did a walk yesterday at River City with Jason, the safety consultant, to review a project we're looking at doing. And then we just make sure everything's equitable and accessible everywhere, that everybody has access. Next slide, please. And then again, this is just a snapshot of what our Prop 2 alignment is and the process we're going to complete the full facility master plan. It'll be data-driven. And I had a meeting last week with our Studio W partners to start the planning for phase 2 of this project. So we're looking at, in March, they will begin doing site assessments. And then we're going to meet in late March with a visionary team and go over those site assessments and then start scheduling out site visits and site meetings with staff and community. And then the goal is in September to have the informational item presented, and then October, the action item for approval. And that's it. Question?
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Okay, do I have any comments from my fellow trustees? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate this. So I have a few questions. One, to make sure I'm understanding how, once this plan is complete, how many years is the goal of this plan? I don't know if I missed that or not, but how long should this take us through?
So a facility master plan should be updated about every 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as needs happen. And then it was a requirement per Prop 2 that you couldn't have a facility master plan no older than 5 years. That's why we're doing one now.
Perfect. Thank you. And then with the question about, I heard you talking about like the tennis courts, redoing those, and I just have a question, and if you don't have an answer now, that's fine. But in terms of how does that work with our joint use with the city, in terms of the partnership with them? Do they take on some of that? How does that work, or what does that look like?
Yeah, our joint use agreement, it's a 50-50 split. So we'll initially pay for it and then we'll bill them. But we've picked up monthly meetings with the city, and so we kind of go over what projects to expect. That way it's not just, a check out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's good. I drive by, they have their big, beautiful lights now, but I drive by and they're on a lot, and I'm like, who's paying for that when nobody's out there, when people are? So I'm always wondering. So thank you, and I appreciate it's a great partnership, I think, with that space for the city and for us. My next question is the Deferred Maintenance Fund 14. At this point, how do you think that is funded? And is that something we should continue to look at with one-time funding? How do you feel about that fund in terms of the project scopes and needs? And maybe it also waits until this is done in September. So I'm just wondering about that process and how we should be thinking about that.
I'll say there's never enough money for the maintenance that needs to be completed. Even in this particular plan, you'll see that in the deferred maintenance section, there's things that best case scenario would have been replaced or completely modernized, maybe some of them 10 years ago. but we may not have the dollars to be able to do that, or something more urgent came ahead of that particular project. So we've been able to keep it running. So to address your question directly, we do need more funds identified for deferred maintenance. It's my recommendation to school districts, and thankfully you all do this, is to be sure to maintain a deferred maintenance fund to the best of your ability, because there will always be needs within the district. With this step that we're taking, though, if we didn't take the step, then we would not be eligible for state funding. And that state funding also supplements the deferred maintenance funding to help us to maintain our facilities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then with that 5-year plan, this might be a programming question too, but when I see the high school, and we've been following like our demographer reports closely and looking at those, but when I see this capacity number, I mean, it looks tight. And so I wonder if on this plan, is there any conversations about, say, where's the best location for Washington Middle so it can expand as well? Maybe that frees up some more space at that site to have on the Bright campus. Are those playing into this, or is that a different type of conversation that we need to have?
It's a conversation that we should have in tandem. Ironically, just today, I received the draft demographer report with enrollment that will feed into the next step of the facilities master plan to see where we're going. As we know, we did have a drop this year in enrollment, and so we need to see where that's going. When we think about capacity, we are using 100% of our schools. And the capacity that's in the reports is based upon classroom use, okay? 96% of the rooms will be used for classrooms. Right now, some of our classrooms are needed to be used by maybe not a rostered classroom, maybe support services, so we can have small group instruction. As I like to say, it's the bubble that's coming through. So we saw that, I think it was 355 students were going down in elementary, but those students that are with us right now will go into the high school. And so there will be a wave, a bubble that will come through that we will need to address and be able to see how we can support our students. Are we waiting and seeing what happens? Absolutely not. And so we'll be having conversations with our schools and watching enrollment to see what our best plan will be when we have our schools more impacted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know we talk a lot about how proud we are of, Washington Middle College and expanding the enrollment that's grown there. Same with River City. I see so many families who in the past might have chosen to look at other districts and left, who are choosing us. And there's great things happening at both. So I appreciate that we have to call that out.
And what you'll find in the final version of Facility Master Plan is it'll probably call out, there was supposed to be another building at the high school when it was originally built, besides the PAC, getting that done. But between F Commons and the cafeteria building, we'll probably identify that that needs to be built. And then we work with our partners, Hancock Park and DeLong. So they find the funding for us for Proposition 2, for state allocation board reimbursements. So they're continuously looking, because the state's always presenting funding, but there's a process to get it, so it's not a guaranteed. But it will, the final version will identify what we're eligible for in the state allocation board refund or reimbursement. And also, for the deferred maintenance budget aspect, these projects are going to get expensiver and expensiver. Like tennis court's going to be $1.5 million. Bridgeway's hard court is going to be about $1.5 million. So the cost just keeps going up. So it's very important to get funding.
And the last one, thank you all for letting me go. The last one, so I know this is going, we'll have community input and whatnot. I just wanted to bring two up as you think through what needs are. And I want to thank you for all the work too in finding, matching, grants to help offset things and all the work that's happened. Two things I wanted to call out when I see on here, safety. I've heard a lot of pieces, we've talked about it for years, but it's always been a cost issue. But our breakaway gates, like we put the high school, and I know you've all been putting them in now a lot. There's still, for example, the entranceway at Bridgeway Island. You have to come around and unlock like a big chain to open the front of it. And I know, luckily, it's only happened once in my career of a serious emergency and having to get to that lock. And it's amazing how your keys just, I mean, it is scary, and trying to fumble with keys in a lock. I mean, it is a really, just a really scary thing. And so I think as we continue looking at where we can have breakaway gates or more of those types of things, I think is something I've heard a lot from community, from staff, and certainly I felt that as well, of a safety piece. And then the last one would just be River City High School, when you're at the bus loop waiting, if it's a rainy day or if it's a hot sunny day, there's not a good overhang. And so those would just be two things that I think about. But thank you, and I appreciate everything.
So the gate, breakaway gates, so we could look into that, but that's also a process because there's
Sure.
a difference between egress, exit, and a maintenance gate. So we would probably take it to the city fire marshal, see if he's okay with changing the egress, and then we can go on from there. So it's a little bit of a process, not just changing the gate hardware. And then the shade covering for the transportation area or the bus circle, it's possible, but again, those would require DSA approval because you have to make sure it's structurally sound so it doesn't fall on anybody. So again, just another process, but everything's doable. Yes.
Thank you for talking to me. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I believe,
Just building on Trustee Kirby Gonzalez's last question is, can you talk a little bit more about public engagement? There was a lot of public engagement in 2019, and so one, thank you for updating this so that we have Prop 2 availability, but just for transparency, how are we engaging the public for things like that were brought up? There's 7-Eleven, all these different inputs, so just talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so in my meeting last week with Studio W, our partners, we're working on a visioning group that, again, I took from 2019. So it's going to consist of 2 lucky board members, the superintendent, the CBO, the director of facilities. It's also going to include the M&O director, 2 parents, 2 teachers, 2 classified staff, and then some community workshops. So we're going to have that community engagement as well for this 2026 facility master.
And I may have missed it. Is there a timeline in which like this needs to get done, and how fast will those community sessions, and where would people find out when those community sessions are going to happen?
Yes. So the timeline, this supplemental master plan is really the key master plan because this has us compliant to Prop 2 funding or any potential Prop 2 funding. But the phase 2 of it, it's slated to go information session in September and then board approved in October. And I'm working with Studio W on scheduling site engagement, so that would come throughout the year.
So we have some time.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a quick question, and maybe I missed it, so I apologies for that. But is there a minimum that the facility or deferred maintenance has to have available, or restrict? Okay, yeah.
No, there's no minimum for deferred maintenance or Fund 14. When I came, because of our district's financial situation, we weren't able to have a Fund 14. And now we've been able to put some in every single year to be able to support the projects that Daniel and the team have been working on.
I had a couple questions. Okay, first, I heard you say that there might be, at least at River City, that there, this capacity is tight. There was a possibility that there was a building that was missing at one point or didn't happen. And now that might be addressed in this upcoming proposal or the next master plan. But I also believe that we were utilizing that space for the Cool Schools area. Are we no longer doing that?
So the first question, the facility master plan will identify the need for that missing, we'll just call it the missing building, because in 2009, it was part of the project, that and the actual PAC building, and I'm assuming for budget reasons, those two were pulled out. So the master plan will need, but not necessarily the funding for it. So then we'll have to identify funding for it. And then, Cool Schools, no, that project is going inside the gate. So that big bark area at the high school, where the building should be, inside the gate, so in the quad is where that Cool Schools project.
So it's not going to be in the area that the building, I'm going to call it the imaginary building was supposed to be?
Yeah,
The
no.
missing building?
It's not.
Okay, I was just curious about that. And then I believe my fellow trustees answered a lot of my other questions. One other question, I know we currently have a facilities master plan. Are we looking at that as like a stepping stone or the foundation and then building off of that to see what has or hasn't been? Kind of like, okay, we've done that, cross it off, move on. We haven't done that.
Yes, it'll be updated with, I believe, we get the measures right. We're in Z right now. Measure V will no longer be on there as a funding source. The modernization of Westfield and Elkhorn won't be on there.
Okay.
They actually won't be included in the site assessments.
Okay.
Since they've recently got modernized.
Okay.
But yes, it'll be a building block and revised and edited.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So just want to reiterate, this is an information item because we wanted to bring it to you for discussion if anyone had any questions. Our next step is to bring this back at the next meeting for action because that's required for Prop 2. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The next is review of the 2026-2027 comprehensive school safety plans. Dr. Jay Burns.
Thank you. Thank you. Our student services team is beautiful. You got to see that tonight. They had me, yeah. Thank you, President Coffey. Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Superintendent Hildreth. Tonight, we're bringing back the comprehensive school safety plans. We had a talk earlier in the year, just to give you, in October, that was our plan, our cadence was improving them before October 15th every year. We decided, let's approve the new plan for the 26-27 year before March 1st. That was the goal. Because in the past, we would have a plan, and it was written, and it would be approved in October, but we'd start the school with a plan that wasn't approved. So the goal is to have a plan that's approved before the school year starts, and know that this is a real-time plan that keeps evolving, okay? Keeps evolving. So thank you. Just to give you that introduction, so we're bringing the plan back to you, and we'll go over the key elements of this plan. So I want to take us back through this. So we go through, each school must forward the adopted plan to the school district for approval. Each school must review, update, and adopt its plan by March 1st. So now we have a plan that's ready to go when we start school in August. The CDE recommends the plan to be approved by the Board of Education before October 15th. That's what we were doing in the past. Now we're doing it sooner. Next slide, please. Okay, safety, safety, safety encompasses everything that our kids do. A safe school, a safe institution. This is it right here. It's aligned to our strategic plan. Next line. Next slide, not line, slide. And then it's pillar D. Ensure that every school is safe and welcoming for students, staff, and families with uniform standards of conduct that are fair to all and discipline practices that are equitably enforced, restorative, and eliminate disproportionalities by student groups. Pillar D. Next slide. Okay. Our staff has to be trained on a comprehensive school safety plan, okay? They need to be planned. We keep training. We want this to be rote. We don't want them to have to think, right? We heard Trustee Kirby Gonzalez say that earlier. You're trying to open the gate. You're trying to respond. So we want to make sure they know what's going on. So it's got to be reviewed and practiced regularly by all staff and students. The school site council must develop the comprehensive school safety plan or may delegate this, right? We know that we have site safety teams. We have leadership teams we have different avenues for creating a comprehensive school safety plan. And when we develop this plan, we're giving them a lot of oversight. And the oversight goes with, we have this ongoing relationship with our police department and our fire marshal as well. So I'm constantly consulting them, and also working with our safety consultant as well. So this is just an ongoing process. Things will come up, a new assembly bill will come down, I'll look at it, research it, then I'm gonna reach out to our safety consultant, reach out to either the fire marshal or the PD or both and say, can we get some input? What are your thoughts? And we look at best practices. Okay, each school must review, update, and adopt its plan by March 1st every year. That's our new cadence that we're gonna do too. Each school must forward the adopted plan to the school district for approval. That's what we're doing. The CDE recommends the plan to be approved no later, right, before October 15. Share the safety plan at the school site with parents and guardians as well. The the expectation is that they're sharing this with their staff, their community, whether it's for a parent-principal coffee, whether it's PTO meetings, whether it's just a myriad. Next slide, please. Here's what the CSSP must include. Assessment of current status of school suspensions. It's right in there, you'll see it. It has our district suspensions in there, our chronic absenteeism, our expulsions, and then it'll have the schools you'll see as well. Assessment of safety at school-related events, child abuse and neglect reporting procedures, disaster procedures, routine emergency plans, and crisis response plan with adaptations for pupils with disabilities. Okay? Earthquake emergency procedures, fire and safety drills. Next slide. These are the recent updates that we did in October when we brought it forward. I just wanted to remind you of what we did. Procedures to allow public agencies to use school buildings, grounds, and equipment. Suspension, expulsion policies and procedures. Procedures to notify teachers of dangerous students. Procedures for conducting tactical responses to criminal incidents. Discrimination and harassment policy that includes hate crime, reporting procedures, and policies. School-wide dress code that includes prohibition of gang-related apparel. Procedures for safe ingress and egress, maintenance of a safe and orderly environment, rules and procedures on school discipline. Next slide, please. These are our newest updates, okay, for the 26-27. It's constantly evolving. There might be other updates that are going to be done too as well. Response procedures for dangerous, violent, or unlawful activities, and we'll go through that in a minute. Emergencies, severe weather, cardiac arrest. Procedures for immigration enforcement notification. Next slide. So these are our response procedures for dangerous, violent, and unlawful activities. Safe refuge. We have to have a temporary safe location if evacuation is unsafe. And we've worked with our safety consultant on various places to evacuate too, whether it's on campus or off campus as well. And not just one off-campus place, but two, right? Standard response protocols, we talk about this all the time. These are our 5 actions for emergencies. We have a hold, we have a secure, we have a lockdown, and we have an evacuate, and we have a shelter, right? And now it's taking hold. The language is finally taking hold with our staff, with our administrators. And they used to say, oh, we're doing a soft lockdown, we're doing a soft this or a soft that. No, this is our terminology. Let's use it. And then we talk about things like evacuate when safe, use safe refuge only if necessary, right? But that takes training, and drilling. Staff account for all students and maintain communication with emergency responders. Okay. Annual review ensures suitability and legal compliance. We're constantly checking that we're, legal and compliant on what we're doing with our standard response protocols, right? Years ago, we talked about run, hide, fight. Now we're talking about the I Love You Guys protocol, the standard response protocol that we're using now. Next slide, please. Emergencies, severe weather, purpose. Now, we've always dealt with severe weather. We're always communicating, whether it's through our PIO, our public information officer, whatever. We're always constantly talking. What do we do for severe weather in event that the kids are out on the playground? What do we do if we have a ball game? What do we do, various things that happen. Protect students and staff health. Maintain attendance during extreme weather, okay? Applies to all students, staff, and outdoor activities, PE, recess, athletics, extracurriculars. We've always done this, but now it's formalized in the plan, right? What are we gonna do? How do we get the kids in from PE? What do we do on a hot day? And the kids were gonna go out to the playground, right? Administrators monitor weather, the air quality. We're constantly sending updates on air quality certain times a year. Modify or cancel activities, communicate updates. Teachers, PE staff, implement indoor shaded alternatives. Monitor students for heat or respiratory distress. District office coordinates with public health and air quality authorities, update protocols annually. We're constantly watching and looking to see and receiving text, emails, checking up on and communicating at the district office, and then working with the amazing Yorgos to put something out as well to communicate with our family and schools. Response guidelines, adjust or relocate activities based on temperature, AQI, or hazards. Provide safe alternatives. Health and safety monitor for heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and respiratory distress. All our coaches have to be certified and trained on this. Okay? Training and review, staff trained annually. We talk about that, like what does it look like with our coaches, right? Especially through the CIF to be updated so they know the protocols. And then we update them per guidance and local experience. Next slide. Emergencies, cardiac arrest. As you'll see, this is, I mean, we've been doing this, right? We've been doing this, but now it's formalized through here. It talks about our AEDs, guiding principle, immediate EMS activation. CPR and AED use follows American Heart Association chain of survival. District readiness. Last year, we met with our safety consultant and we brought in a good friend of his who works with fire, EMS, and we went with our safety teams, our school site safety teams who came to a quarterly site safety meeting, and we went back through CPR and our AED use, okay? Accessible on all campuses, including portable units. We have portable ones as well for certain areas. Monthly checks. My amazing administrative assistant, Jennifer, is constantly staying on top of the AEDs, making sure they're serviced, up to date, batteries, whatever. Monthly checks and maintenance with documented oversight. Communication and awareness. Staff trained annually. AED locations posted on campus. That's part of our maps in the comprehensive school safety plans. Where's your AED? Does your staff know where the AED is? And then we have the appendix, maps, all these things. We're including these things. Okay, next slide. Procedures for immigration enforcement and notification. This is a new one, a big area for this. We've been working with our legal counsel. We've been working with our e-cabinet and everybody to vet all the different things for notifying parents about immigration, what to do with staff, how to train our staff. If we know that there's immigration, I have constant contact as well going on with the PD as well, saying, hey, we've heard there's immigration in the neighborhood, and they're notifying us. Ensure student and staff safety and trigger legally required notifications. And this is why we're vetting it through our legal counsel as well. Verify presence, staff alert, principal, designee, or the designee, right? If you have a teacher in charge, they better be trained and be ready. Confirm officer credentials and document all steps. Notify required parties, parents, guardians, teachers, administrators, and relevant staff immediately after verification. That's new. Protect privacy. Share only necessary information, comply with FERPA and district policies. Okay? Secure communication. Use district-approved alerts, email portals, or in-person document method and recipients. Oversight and review. We say annual review, but we've been reviewing this constantly. We're constantly meeting, and I know, once again, meeting with Assistant Superintendent Street, meeting with our PIO to up to date, and then they're going back and forth, and then we've met with Human Resources, and we're having talks. What does this look like? So annual review by School Safety Planning Committee, publicly accessible and aligned with CDE guidance, right? We have all that from the California Department of Ed. So I want to reinforce that this is an evolving document. As things come out, we'll be working on some other things because there's new things that are coming out about expulsion that we'll be updating soon as well. Okay, next slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Okay. Any from the board? Have one. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was speaking with a teacher earlier today and safety came up and he just started reciting the school site safety plan basically to me. So it's very clear that the staff is being trained, at least at the school site. So thank you for that. It was really neat to see. You, in the process slide, the last bullet talks about the school site sharing with parents or the community at PTOs or coffee with principals or whatever it might be. What does that look like when they're sharing the safety plan with the community? Like, how deep are they getting? I don't think I've been a part of that as a parent.
It's a brief overview. It's a
Okay.
brief overview, but parents also have the right at any time to come in and review the plan, make an appointment with an administrator, and come in and review the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't post them, right? We don't
Right.
put them out there because there's a lot
That's why I
of
was
safety
curious.
reasons.
Okay.
But we offer, and we try to encourage them, when we share it with site council, we share it with leadership, we share it with PTOs, we share it at, the parent principals, and it's a brief overview. A lot of it is more of the simplified version to really break it down, because parents have their key questions. What would you do in a mass event? And a lot of times it turns into a question and answer as well. And then one of the things that we've been really trying to do is do tabletop scenarios. We did tabletop scenarios with our site safety committee at our last quarterly meeting. I'm running weeks together, but last Tuesday. And we ran them through some tabletop scenarios. Once again, we want this to be rote. We don't want, and they go, this is boring. We've done this before. Good. I know the answer already. Good. Like, good.
Okay.
Make it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a real quick question on the process slide. It shows that the school site council must develop the comprehensive school safety plan or may delegate. Have you had any feedback on how successful they've been at developing their site plan? Because I would imagine they're able to tailor it to their site, right?
So let me give you what the process looks like. So we have a template. We have a district template. Everything that gets pushed out, so I'll push everything out. I'll run it by PD, run it by fire marshal, run it by our safety consultant as well. And we also meet as student services directors in the region, and we talk about things. What are you guys doing for this? And then we push them out, and then we let them know, these are the changes that have been made, right? This is the changes. This is what you need to look at. Check to see that this fits your site, like you're asking. Is this tailored? Is there anything we're missing? Because when it's written out, it's pushed out as a boilerplate, right? Now let's fit this. And I'll give you an example. When we were reviewing suspension data, safety data, I'm going to push out the district data, but now I want you to look at your data and put it below. And what does that data tell you, right?
And they've given feedback like
Yes, because the expectation is then they go in and change it, and then I meet with them, and we do what's called a review meeting, and I take them through their plan and say, okay, tell me what you're doing. Because, for example, evacuation areas are going to be different. We have shutoff valves, right? Maps in there you're going to see for shutoff valves, electric, gas, water, internet, whatever. All these different things. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciated your breakdown. And even though I had, quickly looked over the site plans, I hadn't noticed the immigration piece on them. And so I was just pulling it up quickly and looking at it. And I appreciated you calling that out, because when you've seen it lots of years, you look and you're like, okay, everything, is looking good. So I appreciated going through that and like seeing exactly what the process is. And I had forwarded today, Dr. Hildreth, a communication about immigration that I saw another district do as well. So I just want to use this time, since you brought up, to call out to the board that I think we need to update our board policy, our response to immigration enforcement, and also the regulation and response. So I just want that on our end for our job to do. And I appreciate you calling that out and being able to see that in real time. And then the communication of what that looks like to our full staff and families, I think, is really important too. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm writing that down to take a look at the policy.
Yes, it's policy, board policy 1445.
Okay.
And then the same regulation. So
yes,
I'll put that later for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have a question about some of the school site plans actually represent, reference psychological trauma and social workers as a key part of that. We heard that that's going to, again, those positions are going to be eliminated. It also references MHSSA, which is expiring. If MHSSA is expiring, should we not update that in the plan and make note of that?
So we're still waiting to see what BHSA looks like. We're still waiting for that plan to come down. They're hoping to have an answer in March for us. So when we meet with YOLO Health and Human Services, that's been an ongoing discussion of what is that going to look like. So yes, I agree, and I'll make note of that. But as of right now, we don't know what BHSA is going to look like and what those services, but yes, we will update that.
I think we have a general plan, right? And so, I mean, it's a larger strategy conversation, updating throughout every CSS.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to leave that at that. Okay. And now we're on to our consent agenda items. Do we have any questions or public comments on our consent?
None received.
All right, on that, do I have a motion?
So moved. I second.
Okay, I think it was moved by trustee Kirby Gonzalez and seconded by trustee Wong. All in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye. And now we're on to our action items. Action item number 1, approval of the non-public school NPS student contracts at Sierra School of Sacramento for the 2025-2026 school year. Ms. Audrey Street.
Good evening, board and superintendent, staff, and community. This evening, I'm joined by Director Salvo, who will present this item for your approval.
Good evening. So like you read, we are asking for approval on our non-public school, specifically to Sierra School of Sacramento. And for, just as a reminder, our non-public school placements are based on students' IEPs, typically because of their need. And this is probably our biggest placement, which it is for 12 students for the rest of this school year through extended school year, which is usually through mid-July.
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Comments from the board?
I mean, just for clarity, because I know the issue of contract was brought up today, and again, these are services that we are required to.
Correct, yeah. So when we have a student who is identified to require special education, we develop an individual education plan, and based on their present levels and their goals, we need a placement that's going to meet all of their levels of support. And so that's when we look at our non-public placements. It's the most restrictive environment and our least often where we send students, although this is a site that has the most of our students, but it is a requirement for
And
us.
primarily because we don't have the capacity in our school.
Correct.
And we're legally obligated to pay. I think, again, as people are looking at contracts and things are coming forth, I think it's important to know our legal obligations and what our capacity is and why we have.
Yeah, thank
you. Any other comments?
Well, it's a question, I guess. Follow up with that, and not to get it. And if there's not a full answer now, that's fine. Maybe for a conversation later. Do you know districts in our area that have these services within their district, or do you think that that's something that could be a conversation moving forward that might be a possibility for the district down the road to offer services like this?
No, most of the districts or surrounding districts place students in non-public schools for very similar reasons. Just the level of support that the students need is not something that we can do in a comprehensive campus. And so some districts do have, just lack of better words, like a more in-depth continuum of services. So where the differs from our services and what the non-public schools have is typically for emotional disability. And so that's not something that we currently have in our district. So that's one of the ways that we look, but we do have other levels of support before we get to non-public schools, because we do contract with our county to be able to offer that support to our students. So, and it tends to be a little closer to home and less expensive.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
I'll move when the time's right.
All right, I have one move by Trustee Wong, second by Clerk Hunt. And all those in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to the approval of an amendment to the agreement governing the release of student information for the evaluation of Washington Unified School District participation in the West Sacramento Home Run Initiative. Welcome back, Autry Street.
Thank you. For this action item, I'm joined tonight by Justine Jimenez, who we work closely together. She works for the city of West Sacramento, as you know. And we were here before you back in May of 2025 for the approval of our FERPA-aligned data sharing agreement between both entities, and that agreement did not include preschool students, and so we are back for an amendment so that we can include our preschool students in WUSD who participate in our state preschool programs, who are also home run participants in that data sharing agreement.
All right, are there any public comments?
None received.
Do we have any comments from the board?
Yes, I appreciate including our babies and getting that scholarship money. So I can't believe we missed that.
Yeah, it was a complete oversight. It was just a very odd thing. It had been in place for so many years. It was like, oh, well, of course that's still there.
Yeah, we'd like our babies to be eligible for the 529 plan inside our.
All right.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez, seconded by Vice President Castro. All in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now for the approval of the out-of-state conference for the 2026 Shape America National Convention in Kansas City, Missouri. Autry Street.
Good evening again. As you know, board, Washington Middle College is in their first year of offering their own physical education program to their students. Prior to this school year, students accessed physical education courses through the City College. And so they are a PE team of one. And this item is a request for the approval to send our PE teacher at Middle College High School to a national conference in Missouri during spring break, so they wouldn't need a substitute teacher. There's no interruption to instruction, and the fiscal impact is $3,700, which would come from professional learning dollars set aside for certificated staff in Washington Middle College's LCAP.
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Any comments from the board? I do know that my daughter appreciates the PE, so I understand that it is brand new to them as well. Just with that note, I can see why this would be important. And I'm seeing that it also is coming from Washington Middle College's budget that has already been allocated to them to ensure that they can meet the needs that they need for their school. Right.
Absolutely. We see the beginning of, as the program is being built at Middle College, this is a perfect opportunity for this one teacher to learn from other physical educators across the country and by way of workshops, et cetera. And so that's why we're bringing this item to you now.
Okay. On that?
Well, I mean, I think this is a question asked every time. Are there other trainings that could be in California or without a state? I think it's just one that's asked every time.
Yes, so this is through the Society of Health and Physical Educators. And again, it's a rotating location for the national conference. And this particular year, it's being held in Missouri. And we also take advantage of local opportunities, but this is really unique, particular to PE teachers.
I'll second one. Ready?
Moved by Clerk Hunt, seconded by Trustee Wong. And all in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye. And now on to next action item, approval of the closure of Washington Unified Virtual Academy, WUVA, and related planning recommendations for 2026-27. Monique Stovall.
All right, good evening again. This evening, CBO Stovall and I will present the action item for the Washington Unified Virtual Academy. Really about what the plan is for WUVA for the upcoming 26-27 school year. And so the information that we will share with you this evening is in the spirit of our strategic plan and the pillars and our sort of guiding principles that are outlined in our strategic plan. Next slide, please. You can keep going, Janae. One more. Thank you. And one more. Okay, so to begin our with this action item, we would like to just briefly share the purpose for establishing WUVA 5 years ago. WUVA was a way to extend the model of online learning that lots of kids thrived in at the time, and also to just encourage that connection between home and school. It was an additional pathway for students to experience academic success beyond what is offered in a traditional setting. And it was a way to extend and lengthen the method of learning that most of our kids experienced during the pandemic. Next slide, please. And so just to give you a little bit of context about the educational programs offered at WUVA, currently there are 5 grade levels served, 4th, 5th, and 6th in one classroom by one teacher, and 7th and 8th graders served by a different teacher in a second classroom. Students learn by way of a combination of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. They use district-adopted curriculum in both classrooms, and any assessments that students in our regular settings, traditional settings, participate in, WUVA students do as well, either in person or online. Next slide. So currently, WUVA has an enrollment of 45 students, and their average daily attendance is 91%. Their staffing, 2 certificated teachers, 1 certificated administrator, and 2 classified staff, 1.25 secretary, and 1 full-time paraeducator. And just to share a little bit about who served at WUVA, we have pretty much a microcosm of what we see in our other schools. So we have English learners, we have students with IEPs, we have students who benefit from 504 plans, we have students or families who are in transition, and socioeconomically disadvantaged families. Go back just a second, Janae, please. And the second chart on this graph, the second graph on this slide shares just a bit of the breakdown racially and by ethnicity. Next slide, please. So academic achievement, WUVA is definitely a success story in that regard. Their student achievement data has improved consistently since the 22-23 school year and every year since, both in CASP and in iReady. In iReady, they really shine compared to our other K-8 schools. Next slide, please. And so I think this chart gives you a pretty clear picture of the steep decline in enrollment and the steady decline in enrollment. As you know, for the last 3 school years, we have, the last 2 in particular, we've tried to always watching the enrollment, and we've made adjustments to the program accordingly. So I believe at the end of the 23-24 school year, we made the decision to, because of enrollment, in response to lowered enrollment, they had 5 teachers, and they started the 24-25 school year with 3 teachers. And we had 1 less teacher this year, so this year they're operating with 2 teachers across 5 grade levels. And so they've gone from 260 students in the 21-22 school year to its current lowest enrollment in 5 years, which is 45 students. Next slide, please. And just a very brief financial overview. The decline in enrollment means that the revenues generated by the program have also declined or decreased. And the school has required a contribution from district general funds since its 2nd year in operation. And because we've made significant adjustments for the last couple of school years, the impact is less, but there's still an impact or a little bit of pressure on the general fund. And this year it's anticipated that that will be $140,000. Next slide, please. And so that leads us to, we've been here before as an information item, I believe last spring. And so we're before you a little earlier in the school year this time to make a recommendation for 26-27 school year. We feel as a staff that maintaining WUVA is not sustainable, and we can see clearly that the enrollment continues to steadily decline. Once we culminate a group of 8th graders, we don't have an equal amount of students coming in on the younger end to kind of fill that void. And so that's one of the enrollment trends that we've noticed. Closing WUVA would allow us to allocate funds or resources to other sites. And so at this time, our recommendation is for the board to have the 25-26 school year be WUVA's last year in operation in its current model. Are there any questions before I go on? Okay. And so what happens to our 45 students who are enrolled currently if the decision is made to not have the program continue for next year? About 13 of those students are currently 8th graders, so they will hopefully go on to our middle college or River City. Our next year's 5th through 8th graders have a few options. The main option being to return to their WUSD School of Residence. And we're working closely with our student services team to make that happen in the event that the school is not in operation next year. Families also have the option to request an intra-district transfer. And we know that some families may opt to enroll their child in another virtual option outside of WUSD, and we would support them in that transition. Next slide, please. And so what is the impact? Can you go back one more? Did we take that one out? Okay, next slide. And so what supports are there for students if WUVA closes? I've already shared a few of them. We've held parent meetings to let them know that this was going to be we've been giving them an update on the enrollment and letting them know that this would be an action item on tonight's board agenda, giving them the opportunity to come and share their experiences. We had some families do that last year, and I know we saw some comments submitted before tonight's board meeting. And I already talked about transitioning to their homeschool. And one other piece of that would be hopefully we have some kids who've only been at WUVA, and so they don't have any familiarity with their resident homeschool. So Amanda, Principal Divalbis, and I have talked about the possibility of facilitating some pre-visits before the start of the new school year, and any other supports that families who demonstrate some other need, we would support them with that as well. Next slide. And so what does this mean for staff? Just like we met with families, we also met with staff. We've consistently done that for the last 3 years, letting them know what the enrollment trajectory is and what that could possibly mean for the future of the school. And so one thing that we've done in collaboration with our HR team is to ensure that any impacted certificated teachers, they get access to what's called the known vacancies list before that's kind of made available to teachers district-wide, so that they can let us know what their preferences are for placement, of course, based on some seniority and CBA rules. And our certificated administrator position would close at the end of the school year. And again, working with our HR team and labor partners, the .25 secretary and our paraeducator, we would try to work out solutions for those positions too for next year. And I believe that's one more slide where we can talk about some additional next steps. So if WUVA remains open, we would continue operating under the current structure of 2 teachers, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in one class, 7th and 8th graders in another class. And if WUVA closes, we've talked about the supports that would be provided to staff and families and students. And then a closure resolution would be brought to a future board meeting for your approval. And we would also work with the board to complete any required notifications, documentation that are set forth by the CDE when you're closing a school. Any questions?
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Okay. Comments or questions from the board?
Sure, should be quick. When you say we're contributing $140,000 to this site, that's above what they're bringing in ADA. Is that, do we know off the top of your head and if what it costs total for that site? If not, that's okay.
I apologize. I don't know off the top how much it would be. I could do a quick calculation, but I think that the main thing based upon expenses as of today, salaries as of today, the general fund, unrestricted general fund contribution is expected to be $140,000 this year. And everything gets more expensive.
Right.
The paraeducator, is that a paraeducator that's required by IEP, or is that a paraeducator that is with some of the one-time money we talked about earlier? Can you explain that? You know, if you know.
Yes, so that position is new to WUVA as a result of what's called equity multiplier funds, and it's because students who are educated through WUVA's model, they fit certain criteria, and so that the money was designated to be spent on research-based practices. And so because kids spend a lot of time not in front of teachers in the WUVA model because they have multiple grade levels, the investment was made using the equity multiplier funds, which are a part of our LCAP, to provide more adult to student time with a paraeducator. And so that's new to the program this year.
And even though the student population declined this year, the teacher per student went up a little bit because there was one less teacher.
Yes.
And I think one piece of this program that they are not having is like crossing guards, the desks. There are a lot of cost savings with the virtual model, and we know that charters right now dominate this space. Charters dominate the virtual space in our state. And I think that it's been really beneficial to be able to keep kids in the district with this model. I know we might have a little bit of disagreement here. So I feel I've worked at a school within a school. It can be a challenge. There's certainly challenges of bringing on a program within a school that's already operating. But I've seen a lot of benefit. And when we have a program that hasn't come before us with expulsions, suspensions, I mean, those behavior rates are just not the same. We'd love them at 0 everywhere, but there definitely have not been the same type of, I think, that administrative step in that is needed in sometimes a physical space. And so making this, bringing it under, I know we have principals working very hard. I know we have people all over the district working very hard, but bringing this cost savings, it seems if you just bring the teachers through, and it's a school within a school model, it seems like it would make the budgetary need to not be part of the general fund. Would that be a fair assumption?
So one piece of information that we shared when we were here last spring is that we were really aiming for 66 students this year with the 2 teachers to make it completely self-sustaining, if you will. And I feel equally passionate about this niche that we offer families with some really specific severe needs. And we are definitely open to the idea of can this service, not as a school, but can this service be provided through an existing school with 1 or 2 classes? WUVA's current teaching staff has definitely advocated with me for that. And we have a meeting next week after next, to discuss. I know there's neighboring districts who do things that are similar. So I do believe that it's important that we figure out a way to still provide this service, but where it's not putting pressure on the general fund.
If it was, say, like the school within a school model, so if it came under an existing administrator, would you no longer have the school code needed? Would that still be dissolved and they would go under the other school code, or would you have, how would that look?
So to address your first question about the financial aspect of it, and Assistant Superintendent Streak talked about enrollment. And we know that, is it 13 8th graders will be graduating from WUVA this year. And so to answer the fiscal question, we also have to look at enrollment.
Sure.
And unless enrollment is there and attendance is there, then fiscally it's not viable. I cannot feel comfortable saying that there will be no contribution from the general fund. We would not have an additional administrator, of course, so we would take that cost away, but the demand for this program would need to increase to ensure its long-term viability. regarding the CDS code. And what the CDS code, it's basically a school code for the Department of Education. And when we opened WUVA, we didn't open it as a program. We opened it as a school. And if it is underneath another school, to my knowledge, it wouldn't need to be another CDS code. You're welcome.
And then my last question, it's been a while, so I'm a little fuzzy on remembering our independent study program. Can you just speak briefly to where that's housed and maybe what that enrollment looks like? I know that's a different program. I know it's a different type of program, but if you could just share with that to remind us of how that operates.
I'm not familiar with the enrollment, the exact enrollment amounts right now, but I'm sure that my colleague can talk more about the program.
So the River City independent program, River City Virtual Academy, I don't know the enrollment off the top of my head either, but students in that program receive a lot less synchronous time than our students in the WUVA program. Obviously, the students in the WUVA program are younger, and so they do receive more direct instruction. But I'm not quite sure about the.
But it falls under River City.
It falls under River City, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that their enrollment is over 22 per teacher?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You know what? Let us get that information to you. I really don't want to over or underestimate the enrollment of that program.
I should have asked you that earlier. Sorry.
That's okay.
And then just my last question with that in terms of the needs, because I understand, I hear what you're saying about the enrollment piece. If there is a program, let's say it was moved within a school, and I don't know what my colleagues think, you all have, I'm only one person here. But if it was a school within a school model, what does that look like in terms of enrollment? Would you be seeking and asking, people to commit to enroll, who's interested, do all that work now, so you have an idea to know if it needs to be reduced by one, or if it could be 2 people? I mean, what could that, or have you explored that or talked?
We would have to do some more planning, and we would have to think that completely through. That's not something we've done at this time. Although we do know that there are families who have been at WUVA since its inception who would probably really appreciate the continuation of the program. I keep saying program, but I mean just the service, the model. And we do see that throughout the course of a school year, what we've noticed over the life of WUVA is that we do see a need pop up in our middle school as the school year progresses. So the school tends to, please come and elaborate on that.
So I don't have the exact numbers, but it's about 20 of our students who've been with us 5 years. So out of 45. So we know those 20 would be continuing. They're not all 8th graders. Most of our 8th graders come mid-year. So I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but it was something around 30 kids were enrolled back in October, and we're at 45 now. If it was a 6, 7, 8 classroom like it was last year our 6, 7, 8 was full in January, and we had a wait list. If it was 6, 7, 8 right now, she would have 34 kids. But right now we have a 4, 5, 6, and a 7, 8. So it's impossible to know. I enrolled a kid last week. I enrolled a kid, it's been about 1 or 2 every 2 weeks. And we don't know who those kids are going to be until next year. With 7th and 8th, right?
And that's one of the reasons why WUVA qualified for the equity multiplier funds is the non-stability rate.
Okay, thank you.
But on that note, we have had no new students in 4th and 5th grade. So when they speak to the 13 moving on in 8th grade, we don't know how many 3rd graders would enroll in 4th, because we don't have a 3rd grade anymore. And we don't see the need in 4th and 5th as much, other than the kids who currently, are with us that would stay.
Yeah. Thank you for answering those.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
You, and this is just real-time kind of processing. You made me think of something when you talked about the equity multiplier and what we'll call what you've named $140,000 encroachment to the general fund, right? It's interesting because my wondering then becomes if we were to apply the model of LCFF, like they're 44% UPP, like is that, like how much are they really they are actually drawing in more because of the percentage, right? They're drawing in more because of the equity multiplier. So is it really an encroachment? It was just a thought of like, okay, we're saying this is the cost and it's encroachment, but is it really, if you look at the demographic and how that per pupil actually probably brings in a higher percentage based on the formula? It's just a thought. And I mean, it's part of it, it's tough because I'm of two minds, like, okay, yes, encroachment, but there's also a huge value and benefit. Kids coming in mid-year, full disclosure, I was trying to get in last year. You had a wait list, so I wasn't able to get there. And it primarily was my kid needed an environment that protected them psychologically, right? And you don't know that's going to happen. To name, and I hate to share my own story, so I apologize, but there is there is a benefit, right? A service that most other schools don't meet, and I think that Trustee Curbisall, that's what you're trying to get at. And is there a way to actually support a program instead of a school that is cost effective? Because I hate the word encroachment because they're all our kids anyways. But that's how we're being presented this as an encroachment issue of this school's an encroachment. We should close, get that. We have budget times that I just want us to complicate our thinking a little bit more about the needs of the students who are here. It sounds like it might be better as a program than a school because of the other operation needs. I don't. So, like I said, I'm of two minds. I get the fiscal side, but I also get the huge benefit that is not, you just can't measure by a dollar, right? It's kind of like when we talk about special education. It's an encroachment, but we don't ever talk about that like that anymore. It costs more to educate a special education student, right? But we don't talk about it that way. And it's almost like this program, so that I'm struggling a little of this kind of duality of like, you know, it's tough. Because how we're framing it is like an encroachment issue and we should shut it down, but there is such a need. And I don't know, I don't have an answer. I think I'd love to hear from the other board members as we've talked about this, the need, the possibility of programming, not programming. But like I would posit that, okay, like, oh, that's interesting, because if they brought in equity multiplier dollars and they're 44% socially disadvantaged, then they actually probably bring in a higher dollar amount per pupil. It's just a thought.
I'm gonna also, I was in favor of having like more conversation about this. And I actually, it's interesting, it's bringing up questions for me with what Trustee Wong is saying. And is there, how do we, or can we, have this be a program rather than a school? How do we find, I don't even know if that's available or an option. So I would love to be able to explore that or have more information if you have it. I don't know how that works, but I'm really conflicted on this issue, truly. And we talk about the social emotional aspect, and we're hearing earlier, actually the social worker, everybody that came to speak in favor of that, it's their personal stories, their experience, just like the students that go to WUVA, it's their story, their experience, their right to, education and however they need it. So those are my thoughts and on this. It's going to be a really difficult decision one way or the other. So.
Yeah, and my only other comment would be, and I think I share the opinion of everyone here, is regardless of if it's via a school or some other way, my opinion would be to continue to provide this service to these students and whether that's a phase out model over the next 5 years, if we're not seeing that enrollment at 4th or 5th grade. But I think we have a responsibility to provide the students that have been in the program and are joining the program mid-year. There's clearly a reason for that. I think we have the responsibility to still provide that service to those families. So I don't know what that means in terms of this. You know, can we move forward in saying we're going to close the school to still provide that service, or maybe it's just for a further conversation later?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and also emphasize my understanding was we wanted to keep the program, like what the service that was being done, but that we could not sustain the school itself. So if there was something that we could do by having it at another school site, or it sounds like it's more middle schoolers that really need this, and so perhaps possibly phasing out the 4th and 5th graders into middle school and just make it a middle school model. I'm not sure. Seeing how 20 kids have been there since the beginning, these 20 kids are most likely going to continue into their 8th grade year. I'm hearing everything, and now my brain is totally, I'm not sure. This is a hard one, because we do know that this program, the service that they're getting at WUVA is definitely needed. Yeah, I just don't know if this is a closed WUVA school, make it a program within a school. Can you even do a school within a school? Yeah.
Well, not that you want.
No, I'm
Have
just
the
saying,
River
like, these
City
are things I
model.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is that possible? Because then you have other factors. I don't know what school would want another school on their school campus. I know that there's a. Wait, what was that? Oh, okay.
One option to allow the team to bring back some answers to some of the questions is we had a discussion about having a special meeting on the 19th, and we can that would give us, well, we're off tomorrow on Monday, but that would give us at least 2 days to come back and have some answers, as many as we can, knowing that there are some, guidelines and deadlines that we're also very mindful of and want to be able to respect, especially with all of we heard earlier today, just respecting, sharing knowledge with people sooner rather than later. But that is one option if trustees want 2 more days to process. I should say 2 more business days to process information. That's an option that I want to present to the board that you could consider.
Is that a realistic, like, timeline? 2 days to get us, 2 business days to get us,
Well, I think
yeah.
legally, maybe the question would be to our legal team is, would you close school within a school, it feels like, and that could be an answer.
Can you ask that question again?
So it seems like a question might be like within our legal team, if we take the action of closing this school. But I think it's fiscally prudent to change the model, because that would get us maybe closer to this removing of the $140,000. But it seems like we need to ask our legal team as well the best course of action in terms of if this is closing the school, if what the program looks like. It seems like that would be one important question for us.
So there are options where you don't close the CDS code, you just don't enroll while you're determining the next steps. For example, our Evergreen schools,
okay.
we
That's good.
still have the Department of Education codes there.
Oh, okay,
We-
that's a good
Our
point.
district has not taken action to close
Got it.
that code. However, we're not enrolling. And so it's really, what are the next steps for next year is what we're seeking, because yes, we do recognize that and we are obligated to share with you the financial picture as well. Enrollment is declining. You know, that's the main thing.
So we need whatever.
That's correct.
Okay. That's.
This is why I would have wanted to have the discussion. That was my, yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize. You know, I was one that said we're ready to go. Let's put it on here. And I had a conversation with Superintendent Hildreth earlier. Did I say this? It seems like 5 days ago. You know, just really reflecting and seeing it on the agenda and going through the presentation. And, you know, when it comes down to making the decision, I'm not ready to do this. And that's part of this job, right? Every decision we have to make is so difficult because, sure, on the business side, it makes sense, right? But we're in the business of raising little people. So on the human side, like, we can't do this. And it's the same situation with our social, any decision, right? It's like, it makes 100% sense on the business side, but what we're really doing on a day-to-day, it's difficult to say, you know, let's do it without really understanding the impact to the community, who it's serving. So I know we're kind of throwing a lot on you guys to right this moment, as most of us probably said we were ready to go. So I want to apologize for that. But
even me, saying I wasn't ready, but we get it. And, we know you put so much time and effort and all of it.
So I'll make myself available. I know it's hard to find calendar time, but if next week doesn't work, you know, we just need to make it happen before the 15th.
I will share that I don't feel like we would be able to bring you a fully vetted proposal with next steps, engaging the school community as is the right thing to do by the 19th.
Yeah.
I do think, though, as you think about your deadlines, one thing that I heard across this board, I don't know, and I know this is, you know, challenging, but the piece of understanding that the costs are higher than coming in, and the reason of talking about absorbing it somewhere else is that supportive would help alleviate that in terms of, you know, reducing some positions.
I know that we have statutory deadlines for certain things, and so Assistant Superintendent Borges can enlighten us on some areas there.
Enlighten. We'll see how much enlightenment I give. Just so that everybody's clear, right? We talk about March 15th letters. It's not that we have until March 15th for a board to make a decision. I would need a board to have made a decision before the February 26th board meeting, because if you are to take action in closing WUVA, then we have to have the board then take actions in closing those positions, which would happen at the next board meeting, that then provides HR time to do the necessary work of looking at bumping rights and seniority and all of those things that go with it. So then to determine who would receive a layoff notice before March 15th, which is a Sunday, which means they would have to have it by March 13th, which is a Friday. And that means, like, you've been served. So doing all that work is very time consuming because you got to get it right. You have to look at all the rights of what the people have that might be affected by this. So that's kind of the deadline. It's not, you don't have 2 more board meetings to make this decision. I have to have something done and on the books by February 26th board meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It's probably a dumb question, but
No?
can you remind me, you guys have reached out to our labor partners, right? What is the feeling from them on closing WUVA?
I wouldn't feel comfortable speaking about what I think there's been an understanding. I know we've been here. This is not the first time.
No, that's okay. I don't. Okay, that's okay.
I would just say that we've collaborated with both CSCA and WSTA over the last 3 years regarding WUVA. Anytime we made changes to grade level configurations. There's side letter agreements. And so we've been really looking at this, I would say, pretty closely together for the last 3 years.
It's not something, it's right. It's not a surprise, like you said, like Superintendent Streak said. We've been talking about this.
Sure, but I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think we're not going to be ready.
We can
They're
vote
not-
on it, and I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to
we
vote
could.
on it. We're going to vote on how we want to vote on it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say we
Yeah.
could vote on it, but what we were asking or what we wanted was a, I guess, additional information to come back and talk in our special on the 19th. You guys are not gonna be able to have information within 2 business days, which means we're not gonna have, I mean, that means we can vote on it today. I'm just trying to think. My brain is like really trying to figure this one out.
My point in bringing that up as an option is it seems as if getting more information has given trustees time now to kind of think it through. So even if the need would be just more time to process. That could be the purpose. I mean, whatever information we could get, we would bring that. Would it be all the answers are pretty, clear? There would be some gaps in responses that we would be able to share. But if processing time is what is needed before making a final decision, that is something that having it as a topic on the 19th would provide.
So if we vote on this today, can this still be an agenda item for future agenda, or could it be a topic for a future agenda, or does it mean if we vote on it today, we can't vote on it again?
You can bring, your board president, you can bring back an item
I can
on
bring
the
anything
agenda.
back again? Back from the dead?
Yeah, so you can.
Just making
We
sure.
try not to do it like as a regular practice, but there's nothing requiring that you cannot.
Okay.
Right. So. Rather not. One is. Oh. That's for me.
Okay. So, do I have a motion to vote? Or are we not going to give me a motion and then I bring this back?
I have a motion to be able to have extra time to digress.
Okay.
Or let's, yeah.
All right, so do I have a motion to table? I was gonna think about, not chair it. I have a motion to table this, this action item for a future board agenda.
Sounds like a special board agenda. Am I
Special
understanding
board.
that correctly?
Yeah, so for a special board agenda, February 19th. A
Okay.
motion to move for that? Okay, so motion by Clerk Hunt,
A second.
second by Vice President Castro, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I too say aye. All right.
So we'll do our best to
You
bring
do
you
your
back as
best
many.
in 2 business days.
For me, the program piece.
Yes.
I'll work.
May I ask that specific questions be shared with Dr. Hildreth? That way we're able to ensure that we're bringing you information to the best of our ability that you've requested. I don't want to miss something that you might.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, and action item 5 has been pushed. Now on to our board superintendent comments. Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you. I think I had some comments and now I have some other comments. So I think it's just that kind of night. If I just think about everything that we've heard tonight, what comes to mind is compassion, humanity, dignity, respect, and advocacy. Which, if you think about it, that's the foundation of the relationships that we have all built together here in Washington Unified. And it's clear we are in a challenging time in so many topics because we're all focused on what is the best way possible to ensure that we can support our students in the best way possible. And it's going to require very difficult decisions, as we've just seen here in this MOVA discussion. But that's the social, everything. It's challenging and it's difficult. So I first just want to highlight for everyone that I remain confident that there is a mutual interest in continuing conversations on how we support our staff and how we support our students. That really is my takeaway. I really appreciate what I see tonight and what I have seen ongoing is that people are willing to be vulnerable, and that's not easy. Mm-hmm. Standing in that podium, as we've seen, especially with our students, or even with our parents, you know, you're ready, like, I'm fired up, I have something to say. And then you get to that podium and you're like, ooh, why is my heart beating so fast? Because you're on public display. You're, you know, once you say something on video, it's here. And that's when I think we all realize that people then begin to speak from the heart. And it's standing up there that you realize whatever you're saying, you're advocating because we care about the students in this district and we care about the staff. But it's the relationships that we have built that allows us to be able, even in this very public forum, to be vulnerable. And that doesn't happen in every district. And I know that from prior experiences, but I can say that more so in the many, many conversations that I have had with my colleagues in other districts who are facing similar challenges as we are and having similar conversations that we are, that in spite of everything, I still feel that we are so fortunate to be able to talk to each other, to be able to respect each other, to be able to think, here's my one side of my brain says this, but then the heart side is saying something else, and being able to share that, because I think that shows our public how serious we take every single decision that we make. So I just want to thank trustees for sitting in this difficult seat that you were elected to represent, and everything looks easy until you're in it. So I just want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge our labor partners, Doug and Ruth, for leading in difficult times. No one knows the burden of leadership until you are a leader. And no one knows the true burden of leadership until you are the main leader, my friend. So to be able to share and make sure your members know you hear them, that's tough. That's tough for you, that's tough for CSEA, but you do that every board meeting. And that is a hard place to know that we recognize that. We know where your heart is. We know where CSEA's heart is, because the heart is on our campuses and what we do for our kids every single day, all of the roles, all of our certificated staff, all of our classified staff. We see the belief and the advocacy, because we know that when this board meeting ends and we come back on Tuesday, people are still speaking to each other on campuses. It's still, how are you doing? They're asking about your families. We're visiting classrooms. We're seeing kids learning, greeting at in the cafeteria. Things are still happening. So I just want to remind everybody, that's what allows me to sleep some nights. I'm not saying I sleep every night, but that allows me to sleep some nights, because if we don't focus on the good that's happening, we will get sucked in the black hole of negativity that in this time in our world is so easy to go down that road, that hole of negativity. And so I'm going to ask all of us to continue to think about that and be each other's accountability partner of compassion, and say, I refuse to let you go there, because I see that's where we're headed, and we have to pull each other out of it. So the hard decisions that we have to make, from what I've heard tonight, I believe everybody understands hard decisions have to be made, and that as we make hard decisions, it is not because we don't value our people. It is because hard decisions have to be made. So I just thank everyone again for all that you all do for our kids, for our families. In these last couple of meetings, we've seen more kids come to talk about whatever is on the agenda. Students are now coming to our meetings saying the impact, and that has not always been the level of advocacy, but that's how you know what our core values are and what our beliefs are being channeled through all the adults, including our parents, so that our students understand we work for them. And so they're like, well, I want them to know what I have to say. And where do you do that? You do that at a board meeting. So let's focus on looking at the highlights. Let's focus on each other's humanity. Let's focus on collaboration. Let's focus on problem solving. And let's focus on West Sacramento, because that's the community that we serve. What's happening in West Sacramento. And we know there's a lot of things happening in our region. There's a lot of things happening in our state. There's a lot of things happening in our country. But when I first joined the district, one of the things that was shared with me is West Sac is the best Sac, right? Because we focus on West Sacramento. It wasn't, we focus on West Sacramento and Woodland and Davis. We focus on West Sacramento. And I have taken that to heart, and I'm right there with West Sac, Best Sac. I'm right there. 5 years, but I'm there. So I just want to acknowledge everyone, because we're in a time where we can't control what happens outside of West Sac, but we can control what happens in West Sac for West Sac. And that, again, is what I'm going to continue to focus on. I'm going to continue to have conversations with our partners. We're going to continue to collaborate. We're going to continue to disagree. We're going to continue to say, I disagree with you, but I do appreciate this thing. That's something that we constantly do. So it's just an acknowledgement, again, that was on my heart. I want to transition into the next topic, which is really just thanking all of our schools and our community as we celebrate Black History Month. We've had a wonderful parent engagement workshop last week, or was it this week? Oh, it was Monday. Yeah. This week. That's what happens when you have 2 short weeks. With our Roberts Family Development Center, just celebrating Black History Month. There was spoken word, there was music, there was a history lesson about how all of this engagement that we're seeing in our own community and how that was started in really the civil rights era, and that movement of civic engagement and people making their voices known. So that was just a wonderful opportunity. So we want to thank the Roberts Family Foundation because the parent engagement piece is different than Freedom's. So the goal was really to make sure that just like we want to make sure all of our students feel seen and valued and heard, we want to make sure all of our families feel seen and valued and heard. And that's why we had this, why we've had our listening sessions. So when people see that you're taking intentional actions to say, we want to hear from you, they begin to believe it. And now we are beginning to see that. I want to shout out we know how important attendance is. So our team visited 2 schools, Westmore Oaks and Yolo, to celebrate some attendance milestones that we highlighted. Westmore Oaks has reached its highest daily attendance rate in the last 3 years at 92.5%. And then YOLO has shown some sustained gains in daily attendance over the last 2 years. So all of our conversations about the importance of attendance, we know financially we need that, but I look at attendance more as that means something's happening at the schools and our kids want to be there. So that's really the importance of when we see an increase in attendance rate, it means something is happening on a daily basis in those classrooms where kids are saying, I need to go to school. So want to highlight those 2 schools. There was a lot of enthusiasm when we had our Pro Football Hall of Fame leaders come to River City to support strong youth and strong communities, and our Pro Hall of Famers, Warren Moon and Daryl Green, gave life lessons, and our women's basketball champion, Imam McFarland, they shared their stories. And one thing that stood out to me was their stories really resonated with the students because it was all students from River City, all 2,000 in the gym. So we had the bleachers and then you had chairs on the floor. It was filled. And the one thing that the feedback that I received, and they said publicly that this was the largest group of students that they had ever spoken in front of. They do this every year, the week before the Super Bowl. They usually come to the region where it is being held. But they said they usually have kids who are, being kids and being a little vocal while we have guest speakers, and you hear the teachers going, shh. And that did not happen. We know that. I mean, we always talk about how great our kids are and our students and how they behave at River City. We know that, but to have that validated from an outside group and telling the kids, so that it's just like when your parents tell you something like, you're so cute, and you're like, you're supposed to say that. You're my mom. So to hear the behaviors are what our kids do, and that's not what is seen in every situation, just speaks to how good our kids are. But it also speaks to that what they were talking about was relevant. It really was their real life experiences. For me, when the Iman talked about being the tallest person in the room since you're like in the 2nd grade, I was like, girl, I feel you, okay? So, these were stories where you understood what they overcame and how she got confidence, or the way they were brought up, or trauma that happened in their family with their friends that led them to take a different path in life, their faith. It was just really good, and they presented in a way that our kids could really understand. So that was a highlight. And then at the start of the month, we celebrated National School Counseling Week, because we know how much our counselors, our social workers mean to us, but mean more to our kids. So in spite of everything, there are always great things happening in our schools, with our staff. And I just close on, let's not forget the humanity that we have for each other, because that's what really makes this district and the people who work and live in this district so special. And with that, I will close. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Trustee Wong.
Thanks for that. What's sitting with me is psychological safety. And I appreciate our partners for being vulnerable. I appreciate our parents, social workers. I appreciate our kiddos who always adorable. And I appreciate the conversation we just had about, like, it's really clear that we want our kids to be safe in all aspects, social, emotional, psychological safety, all of that. It's no secret that everybody knows that I'm a trained school social worker. I always say that. It's also no secret that I sit on the state's behavioral health task force, who stand up a lot of this work and the opportunities that are before us. It's no secret that when I joined the board, we really had, I don't know, a handful, and I took a seat from another social worker who had begun the work already with the outreach workers. No secret that I was an outreach worker in Oakland Unified as we were building this out. So I don't say this from a space of not knowing how to build a program in a very large district, right? There's opportunity before us with absolutely revenue generation through not just our social workers, but quite frankly, the opportunities that our outreach workers and other people who are doing that. I know it is scary, I know it is a risk, but sometimes, like any business model, you have to take a risk of it's not going to make money that first year because you're building the infrastructure, right? We're building the infrastructure. We read through our school safety plans. Social workers are named on every single campus. I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, how does this even work? If you're losing your MSSA grant and that transition, I know for 9 years I've been talking about Medi-Cal reimbursement and been working at the state and national level on getting this to happen. And I know staff have been trained and working really hard on this. So I just want to reiterate that the psychological safety, really proud of our board and our schools to kind of really have that focus for social emotional learning, because we want our kids to feel safe on campus. I'm looking forward to having the priorities conversation around in a couple, like, we just need clarity, right? We need clarity about where our priorities are as we sit in this time where kids are terrified of ICE raids. They are hungry, they are unhoused, they are abused, they are neglected. At crazy rates. And our kids are good at the high school because we have thought about them first. We have thought about the culture and the environment. Can we do better with bullying and other things that, like, can we, should we? Absolutely. And so for me, I'm looking forward to that conversation, but just want to put it on there that there is something about, the positions that could be revenue and will be revenue generating by design, right? Just top of mind. Black History Month celebration on Monday was lovely. There was a fun fact today that the first Black History Month happened in 1976, so I feel it's 50 years of an anniversary of finally officially celebrating Black History Month. It was great to see parents there, great to see parents honored. The spoken word was powerful. Our young person, the jazz walking in, all of it, the culture. And I'm looking to hearing and seeing and feeling more. Right? The culture matters, right? Like, culture matters. And just so proud of our district of, leading with equity, justice, and heart. I think a couple of board meetings ago, Trustee Kirby Gonzalez had said, we lost $1 million because we were so proud of our strat plan. Staying, like, what's quoted in that letter for losing $1 million? is seeing and recognizing our students. My joke to everybody was like, I'm going to frame that. I'm going to frame that letter because I want to be unapologetic about our kids. I want to be unapologetic about our communities, and we want to see every single one of them. So I'm grateful for that. And so I just wanted to end on that, but I also wanted to, it is the end of winter sports, wanted to acknowledge everybody who worked really, really hard on really a great season over a lot of different things. It was amazing. And, you know, not to mention that there are kids training for spring sports, including my kid in the rain, right? Like, you can't go to the weight room because it's there, so you got to go run track in the rain. And so also acknowledging the coaches who are prepping and conditioning for spring sports, that also brings psychological safety, endorphins, and joy to some of our kids. And we know that's you know, often an extra addition to our teachers. So really grateful for that, because that's all part of the conversation that we should be having. And regarding other things, I really do pray and hope and know that we are closer together than farther apart, no matter how it's seen, how it's perceived. Everybody has a role. They sit where they sit. Sometimes they need to stand where they sit. And that's understandable, because that is just how the dynamic is built. But I really do know that we are closer together than farther apart. So that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. You ended on the note of sports, and I get to go to see my first River City High School with my child in it this weekend. So there is a very special place that sports and the theaters and the music and all of the things outside of the classroom also play for our students' lives. And really lucky to have all of them and the dedicated coaches, educators who are making all of those things happen for our kids. I wanted to thank you for your comments, Superintendent Hildreth and Trustee Wong. I wanted to bring up, going into just the business of the work, we had our 2x2 meeting recently. One of the things we spoke about was Bright Park. That's come back to our board. Another thing that we spoke about was many families came from James Marshall Preschool. You've all now received an update on that as well, advocating for, they've seen a decrease in enrollment, as we have too in some of our primary grades, and they were there to advocate for some of the costs of our joint use agreement that we have with them. And so you have some information on that too. And another thing that came up at the 2x2 that we talked about was our immigration policies and how that we make sure that we protect our families, because our students are with us all day, but then many, like our own children, walk or ride to get home, you know, or they're picked up. And I think that there's a lot of concern around that. I know I see it with students I'm with every day, and it's a very real concern. And so we talked to the city about what they're doing on their end, and that we make sure we keep open lines of communication, because when our students leave, you know, the end of our borders of our schools, they're, you know, in our city spaces. And so how do we work together to make sure that we really are communicating well? And the city was committed to that conversation with us, and we were committed to working with them as well. And so that takes me to what I asked for earlier, which is that we review our own policy, and we take that to the policy committee to see what updates need to be done. I know that staff has worked on communication and worked on processes around this, but we really need to do our work now as a school board too, to make sure that it's matching and that we've taken that firm stand. I really appreciated the budget meeting this week, and I appreciate that our labor partners were there as well, both WSTA and CSEA. And I thought it was a really informative meeting. And we also talked about some of the funding streams and what's happening and around our advocacy. And this is a board who's really advocated for special education funding, our community schools funding, and others, and extensions of grants and so forth. And so it's important that we continue that work, and we learned some good strategies from that meeting of what we can do across the way at this Capitol as well, and where we can advocate for. So I really appreciated the meeting as a whole, and all being on the same page with that work and what we do. And yes, we know, as we've talked about, that we did lose federal community school funding because of our stances on equity in this district and protecting all of our children and celebrating them. And while we're unapologetic about that, we also are vocal about that it's not okay, and that we deserve to have funding for our students in these spaces. And I appreciate that we'll continue to uplift our voices and call that out when needed. And everyone that spoke this evening were all really important issues at the heart of what we do. And we know that we've seen the data with our students in terms of the different health surveys. They brought it up as well, that our kids continue to advocate and need services and need places to feel safe. And our staff members do that every single day. Our classified staff, our certificate staff, our administrators, and our student support team. And so, and we know even though we're doing all of those things, they continue to ask for more. And so I know that we're going to have our priority discussion was talked about. And we will have some hard decisions as grant money has changed and shifted. And I think there are also, as Trustee Wong spoke to, opportunities as well with some of those more grant opportunities, more President Coffey spoken to it as well. Billing opportunities, and I look forward to those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Hunt.
All right. Okay, so kind of piggybacking on some of the stuff Dr. Hildreth said, I want to start by sharing some really positive experiences I've had in the district recently. I also attended the Strong Youth, Strong Community event at River City High School last week, and huge shout out to our community schools coordinator, Sanaa, and all of the partners who really made this thing happen. It was such a great event. And I also wanted to shout out our students who were very respectful. As Dr. Hildreth said, our NFL Hall of Famers called them out specifically and, shared how respectful they were being. The messages were powerful. I mean, I myself, as a grown adult, was getting teary-eyed just listening to the stories, and it really, for me, it just reflects being able to bring that experience to our district. Reflects, the kinds of things that can happen when we invest in the connection in our community. So once in a lifetime, I think, for our students. I also recently visited Stonegate and had the opportunity to go into middle school classrooms. A lot of times when I do site visits, they always take you to the littles, and I want to see the middle schoolers. And every classroom I walked into, students were engaged, they were learning, they were respectful, and I even made a comment to the principal. I've walked into other middle school classrooms that, are just chaotic. It was just really special to see. Every classroom I walked into, I was amazed. So, and today I went on a 6th grade field trip with my daughter and here in town. And there's 150 6th graders, right? And they're just so respectful, they're kind. And I don't think we're told enough that we're doing a great job, right? We have this light on the negative, and our students are doing great. And, I just wanted to give a shout out to the parents and guardians. You're doing a great job. And thank you for partnering with us. And it really shows, just walk into a student environment and you see it. I also want to thank everyone who came and spoke today, and not just here, but, in the written comments as well, in support of our social workers. Your presence speaks volumes, and, these roles are vital for our schools. And I just want to say I hear you. I wanted to tell a story, but I don't know if I'm going to get through it. So I'm not going to tell it, actually.
Got me all ready.
I don't want to do this. Just really quickly, as a parent, I have personally sat went in and sat in the office of our school social worker and outreach specialist and feeling overwhelmed and desperate as a parent, right? I went in there as a friend-to-friend conversation, not even expecting or knowing that those services were available right there on campus. And by the end of that week, our social worker had connected my child to a support group that made a huge difference. I mean, it may sound dramatic, but it was really life-changing for my family, what they did for my kid. So I hear you, I see you, and I know it's not an extra role, it's an essential role for our schools. Okay, and then I'm just gonna wrap up. We saw a lot of, thank you for providing the information on the grants that we currently have. A number of them are expiring at the end of June. So if we could see a plan, what's the spending plan for those between now and the end of June? That's my understanding for those expiring funds, just to know and be strategic about how we can use the grant funds. Some of them are for the arts and things like that. So if we can be a part of that conversation, maybe it's a part of the priority conversation, that'd be great. Thank you. And sorry.
You're fine.
Actually, I'm not gonna apologize.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't apologize. Vice President Castro.
Man, it's really hard because everybody says everything before it gets to me. So I'm not going to be so eloquent. So I apologize for that in advance. I'm going to just keep it funky and keep it real because that's just who I am and why I actually decided to run for school board. And yeah, I'm going to start off with, I also joined the River City event last week. That was like, one of, I mean, the boys with the football play with Moon, was it Warren Moon? Man, they loved him, and then the girls with Iman. Oh my God, it was man, it was a good day. I feel like for our high schoolers, they were engaged. They were like cheering everybody on, and Clerk Hunt is right. Like the messages were powerful. Perseverance, positive affirmations, and just them sharing their experience, their life experiences. It gives the students like, oh, I can be that one day. It may not be a professional athlete, but whatever they do in life, that was the message: is they can do that. They can be whatever they want to be. So that was a really positive event to go to. Thank you, Sarah, for talking about the city 2x2 meeting and updating everybody on that. I don't really have much to add to that. It's funny. I don't know something's in the water tonight or something, but you know, the social worker. I want to thank everybody that came to advocate for our social workers. Yeah, I'm not going to apologize either. So they're right. Myself recently, so I've raised 2 other than my own son. And I was crying when I was hearing their stories, because I share similar stories to the kids that they were talking about. And those are hard decisions. Whatever way we decide, we have to make. The burden is on us. Truly, the burden is on us. You know, each and every one of us took this role on, not because we thought, we're going to have a name and we're going to do this, it's going to be fun and great. Yeah, there's perks, right? But we do it from, I mean, oh I'm glad we're laughing.
Don't know about that, but okay.
But we do it for a purpose.
Yes.
We do it with an experience, a life experience that we've had. And not all of us have the same lens. Not all of us come from the same experience, background, history. And that's what I appreciate about this board is we all come with different experiences, different lives, single mothers, you know, biracial families, whatever it is, we're all so different. And we've been a pretty cohesive board. But there's going to be a time where we're going to disagree, and I'm going to be brave and not vote the way maybe my fellow trustees are going to vote. But that's okay because that's the way it's going to happen. And I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I ask and challenge our community because I'm 4th generations here. And I know the impact and the decisions and the votes that I have are I'm 40 years old. So whoever was on the board when I was in school, it's still impacting us today. So I get it. And I know my fellow trustees get it also. I just want everybody to be aware that every decision we make is yes, with the brain, but a lot with our heart for our students. And when I decided to run, that was a big thing for me is anything that impacted our students directly is where I'm going to try to stay away from when making a decision. Something that's going to negatively potentially impact them. And that's what I'll continue to do. So I think everybody, staff, I think our teachers, I'm going to just share this too. I've had my first experience with being snubbed by a teacher, and it was hurtful. I didn't deserve it, but it's okay. I'm going to love on that teacher because they're going through their own experience too. But we are West Sac, Best Sac. And that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you, Vice President Castro. Oh, yeah, it is 10. That clock is definitely bad. Okay, so I'm going to move motion to move past 10.
Aye.
You second? Wait. Clearly.
All motion.
Well, motion, Vice President Castro, moved by me, motion,
Whatever.
Second by me. All in favor? Aye, okay. So with that, 10 o'clock, try not to go too long. I want to thank everybody that came out and spoke. I have a little thing for the kiddos. I don't know what it is. I love that they're coming out. I thank you parents for bringing them and empowering them to speak. And even if it's a few minutes or a couple seconds or whatever, just having them come out and speak. I promise you, we're real people. When you see us out there, we'll love on your kids just as much as, well, maybe not as much as you do because you love them way more, but we will love on them and give them that support while they're up here. So continue to bring them, continue to have them speak their voice and speak with their thinking because it really does make a difference. So I thank you for that. And all of you social workers, y'all know you have a special place in my heart. I talk to you guys often about what you're dealing with, and I almost feel like you're my social worker like half the time. So thank you for continuously to be that individual that I can talk to about what's going on. So on the note of like the NFL Hall of Famers, Pro Hall of Famers that came on Wednesday, I was not present. However, my son was, and he definitely told me what an impact that it had. So I just have to say, programs like that and events like that that impact our kids are definitely worth it. And I'm so glad that it was we who were selected to be honored by their presence. I'm sorry to hear that Fred wasn't able to make it, Belitnikoff, but it's okay. That's okay. But on another note, just all of the positive things that are happening around the school district. Teachers are continuously being, are continuing to teach the way that they do and influence our littles to be better versions of themselves. As I've mentioned before, we're all a different kind of ice cream, right? And what our teachers do is they help us by putting on the sprinkles and adding the whipped cream and putting the cherry on top. And that does not take away from the ice cream of who we are. It just enhances us and makes us, you know, a better version of us. So thank you for continuing to do that. All of our classified staff, we see you. You guys are amazing. I see the crossing guards and I wave hi when I do drop off my kids. Usually they walk. But when it's a rainy day, I'll drop them off. It's not across the street. It's a little further, but yes, just that one time, you know, it's just a little baby. The other ones, they're older. I only have this last one, okay? Like, let me have this. Otherwise, everybody's doing a phenomenal job. Seeing all of Riverbank's SPED teachers, they are amazing. You see the difference of what's going on that campus. It's a complete 180. So I just continuously like wishing them the best, and that what they are establishing now continues to thrive as years come. As you mentioned, you know, it takes a while for things to build, but once you start having that foundation, it's just all about going up from there. Okay. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and move on to what our future board agenda items. I did hear we are going to do board policy, the immigration update for at our policy subcommittee. We also plan on having our priority conversation. I believe that's going to be on February 19th. And we are also going to push the WUVA conversation that same day. Hopefully we have information by then, but if not, information nonetheless, so that way we can have either an action or something by the next full board meeting. All right.
That's Annette Coffee. We also like to do the handbook annually, and we haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So probably getting the handbook.
The handbook as well?
Having just putting that on the radar for people.
Okay.
It's coming soon.
I believe that regarding what was that? Okay, so the only person that was willing at the time was Clerk Hunt, and I believe you had only 2 that you were named, and you were wanting to be on those boards.
I think that's what I had said.
Okay. Okay, so then do we put that at the next? Okay, so yeah. So then at the next, we'll have the reconfiguration of the subcommittees, and it will be for governance handbook or the handbook. Yes.
Don't do the handbook.
So we can't. So yes. Okay. So we can't do the handbook until after Jackie gets on it. So I'm just messing. As long as it's after Jeanette, I'm hearing she don't want to do it. So we'll make. No, I know. I'm just messing around. Okay. We're a good board. We were gonna we do what is it? There's the norming, then there's the storming, and then there's the forming, norming, storming, and then conforming. So if y'all don't know, it's when you get together, you form a group, and then when you form it, you're like, oh yeah, we're norming, we're getting to know each other, and then we storm and we clash, and then after that we conform, and we're like, all right, we know how each other works.
It's like a girl band?
No. Okay. But if you want it to
Just
be.
checking. We can't operate.
It's past 10. We can't operate right now. All right. On that note, I think we got everything. Yes? Yes? Great. Goodbye.